All right, what is going on, guys? We are live, and let me pull the screen up. Look at this. Actually, just as I am starting up, I just looked away for a second. Neo just blasted through 50 bucks. It's one of the stocks I've been in for a while. I actually grabbed some. I have an average at 41.50. I started my position under 40 post offering a couple weeks back, about a week or two back now, a little over a week back. And it's been pushing up, so that's awesome. So I'm riding this guy up and riding it up for a little bit here. So this is pushing over 50. I like that. That's a good sign. What I wanted to see was over this 49 to 50 area, which now we can look at the daily chart, and we've blown above this high. So yeah, I'm with Neo Day coming up with the momentum we're seeing, across, this stock and even Tesla breaking out to over 700. I'm expecting Neo to make a new high here in the coming days and weeks. So that's what I'm looking at. I just sold, so I had 50 shares. I of course have a long position in my longer term portfolio. That's that. But I of course in this account I tried to maximize buying the dip and trying to maximize my percentage gain. So on this trade, I'm up like 20%, whatever it is, over 20% now, in about 2 weeks. So, it's pretty cool. That's what I was trying to do in this account. So we're riding this one up now. Sold 10 shares and going to be letting a decent amount of this ride. Because I do see that this is pretty strong. This breakout over 50 is a strong sign, at least for now. Now, if the overall market tanks next week, who knows what's going to happen, right? We'll have to reassess and maybe, we buy the dips at that point. That's why, I sold those 10 shares. If it dips down, like we've been seeing, if you take a look at what Neo does like every single day, I mean, look at this. Immediately the market opens, the stock dips. The stock goes down to 47.76. Within minutes, it's back up and over 50 bucks. It's done it the past couple of days. Let's zoom out. It's done it the past couple of days. So this dip, I didn't take it because I already had a position. But if that happens again, like tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week, now I can add those 10 shares back and play the dip, do it again. Scalp kind of in a sense. And look at this, the past couple of days. Yesterday, not as bad, but a decent dip and then, rip, and then it ripped up the rest of the day. The day before, dips down hard and runs up. I mean, it's done it now like 3 days in a row. I mean, even look at the day before that. Okay, that was more of a bigger dip day, but it's been doing it and continuing the uptrend. Now over 50 bucks, it's looking good. So outside of that, I did miss the TTOO dip. I started to accumulate some shares. I have a pretty bad average, but again, slowly starting to accumulate shares of super small size in that one. So reason why I like it is because this kind of downtrend breakout, rough, not perfect, but it's a rough downtrend break. So I kind of like TTOO in this level, at least as of right now. I like a $1 support on it. Don't want to see it below 1. So my plan is just to add and accumulate down towards 1 for this play. And then if it drops below 1, I'll cut it. If not, I'm looking for a bigger breakout to the upside, looking for 150 plus. So I have a first sell around 150. That's the plan there. Let's see what else. Neo is pushing up. There is a couple stocks that I wanted to get into today. I wanted to get into SNDL. We can talk about that one. Actually, let's take a peek at what SNDL is doing because I'm probably going to have a more detailed video on that one tomorrow about a bunch of these plays. But SNDL, let's pull up the 5-minute and see what it's been doing. So it's sitting down here, actually a decent little bit of a dip. Could be, down 4%. This is the type of day that I like to be buying stuff. So, market's down just a little bit. I'm not super concerned about the overall market today. Unless there's news that comes out, I would anticipate the market to just kind of be fairly even. It is a full trading day, though. So, like last week, we had Christmas Eve. That was like a half day. This is actually a full day. Markets open normal hours. Bonds close early, I think, today. But so everything should be really unaffected that we do. Let's see. Yep, market is open full day. Neat takeout. We could look at Neat too. TTO looks good. Yeah, so like TTO, someone's talking about it for a while. Is a day is one that I started looking at yesterday. I thought it would maybe make a run yesterday. That's why I grabbed a super small size. But now I can actually load into that one. So now let it come down. I actually put an order in. Did I delete that order? Let me see if it's still there. Yeah, I missed this dip, so I was looking to see if I can slowly grab something there, and then I missed the dip. But if it comes down a little more today, I'll be buying more for sure. I'll be slowly adding to that one. See if that order fills. We'll leave it there for it now. Let's see. What was I looking at? Oh yeah, SNDL. So I might start taking a stab at SNDL like right here because it's down a decent amount. So let me see. I don't even know what is SNDL. I gotta buy like 1,000 shares to start, I guess, for my position sizing. Because like, I'll start with 1,000 shares at 46.8. Now let's put that order in and see. But I like SNDL a lot. I mean, look at the daily chart. We talk about, stocks, sitting at support. At least that's what I like to do. I like to be adding into these levels. And so, where SNDL is sitting at for right now. Don't really want to see it go. So, okay, that got filled. So I'm sitting here with a 46.8 average. So, don't want to see it really dropping below this level, this 45, because it's been decent support. But at the same time, if it does, we have some solid support down towards the 50 SMA, which is coming up. So I would say around 40 cents could be the next spot to add SNDL. But we have a decent catalyst into next week, and that's the Georgia Senate runoff election. So what I'm thinking here is that people may be overlooking this one, or maybe not overlooking, but I think it's actually a pretty big deal, because if this does go, if both Democrats win that, which I don't know, there's polls, I'm not even going to bother to go down that hole right now. But if Democrats win that, they take control of the Senate, which now would mean Democratic control in the House and the Senate. So now when you're trying to pass stuff through Congress, it can get passed easier. Now, okay, it's somewhat one-sided, right? And because you have control by Democrats, so that could mean more favorable Democratic bills. And what do we have with SNDL, cannabis company? Boom, weed plays, So that's why I like it. If it happens. It doesn't happen, I don't think it's really... The stock's not going to plummet, but it could be a positive catalyst for next week. So that's why I like, starting to grab some of that. And then CGC let's take a look at CGC, how CGC is doing. CGC is one that I'm actually, it's at the 50 SMA. It's actually in a good spot, I think. I'm actually starting to accumulate CGC in my longer term portfolio for like a longer term hold. I think I'm going to, grab CGC, and look for a move. This thing already made a 100% move, from the past, from October, but I think there's potentially more in the tank here into next year. So that's why I'm going to be starting to grab some CGC into next year. Let's see. Let's take a look at Neat. They had some news yesterday, right? They had like a bunch of orders or something like that. Yeah, it popped up yesterday, nothing pulled back, but this could be a good dip buy opportunity, down 11% if you like Neat for like a little bit of a longer swing. Fubo is one I've been actually... I mentioned... Oh, you changed your name from... Okay. That makes sense. Yes, TTO, I'm finally looking at it. Okay. Boom, let's take a peek. Fubo, I kind of thought maybe would hold up around 30-ish, maybe not. So I kind of like it down in this like area right here, this sub 30 down towards like 26. This is like a decent spot to be buying some. I think, for those who played it now, I don't want to get caught up in, I had Fubo under 10 and I sold it at 15. That's just what I did. I felt like it was up so much and like, holding it for like a week or whatever it was in my longer term. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to take profits here and go into something else. Only for this thing to go to 62. But actually, it's not a terrible spot. I kind of like Fubo for the long term, to be honest. So I think it's in a decent spot. Under 30 is a decent ad zone. I know people were trying to grab it yesterday. I thought people were trying to grab it yesterday, around like, let me get rid of this really quick, around like 40-ish, upper 30s, 40s. I think, now let it come down 50 SMA up here around 25. I think it's getting to a better spot to start taking something and just slowly adding into a position if it does dip further into this range. I kind of like it. I do. So what else do we have? Let's see. DSGT. This thing is pushing up a lot lately. So this is an OTC play, right? Okay. It's up another 8%, but it's actually coming back off the open. So, it's up a lot for me. Right from where it was. Look at this thing was like a, 30-cent stock like a couple weeks back. It's up crazy amount. But I guess that's the nature of like OTC plays. So, for me, maybe if it holds up, let's see how it does today, 150 or so, if it can break back above that level. Oh, one stock I was actually looking at too. I don't know how it's doing. Okay, Johnson & Johnson, 156. So Johnson & Johnson, if we take a look at this, look at this guy. 157 is like all-time highs on Johnson & Johnson. They have their vaccine. It's a single dose vaccine coming up too. That's actually pretty, I think it's pretty significant, and we're like $1 off of all-time highs. This could be a potential play for next week and beyond, not just next week, beyond next week, I think. So it opens up, it hits 156.99 in the pre-market hours, at least some order went through, and then it's dipping a little bit. But we'll see how this one goes. I mean, it's up a little bit this week, so yeah, it made this kind of a decent extension. So I'm not I'm expecting kind of a pullback here personally with where it's at. So let's see how this guy does. But if it holds up above 155 or 156, it could be a decent spot. I have calls on this guy, kind of speculative lottery calls in my TD account. So I just bought lottery calls for, I think, end of January. Maybe even I'm looking to potentially look at buying some Februaries or something. We'll see how this goes. But if it breaks out to all-time highs, you don't want to be like, especially for a stock that's been consolidating or it's been kind of, getting into this phase where it's like got this consolidation period. So it's up from like 150 down to 120. It's like that's the range we've been trading in since like 2017. Like 2017, we were literally hit like 150 or 148 or so, like just shy or just about that level. And then since then, just have like, okay, we have an uptrend. So you can kind of, okay, this is, just somewhat disregard that dip, but like rough uptrend is like that. So it's looking good, but it's a slower mover stock. It's not going to be a fast mover, but this breakout could be what sends it. So I'm liking that one for if you do like playing options, that could be a decent option play, in my opinion. Bingo, BNGO, what I did with this guy is I actually played an overnight play. So I bought it after hours because I made a video, I think I talked about like the overnight gap kind of play. So when you see a strong stock in the after hours, not all the time, but many times it could be a decent overnight gapper candidate. So what does that mean? It could gap up in the pre-market hours or the early pre-market hours. And so I actually got some at like 170 here, I think a couple of days back on the 29th before the close. And then I actually sold it up in the pre-market hours. Yeah, could I have held it and would I have made more? Sure. I just took a little chunk of it there. I don't like playing stuff that's up, a ton. As a lot of you probably already know, but here's a decent uptrend the past couple of days. It's a solid uptrend. BNGO, and it's getting a lot of attention on social media and stuff. I've been seeing some stuff about it. So, and I think for a good reason. There's actually some decent reasons, to be honest, from my initial kind of findings and research of looking into it. Not something that I'm going to be playing for the long term. I've played it plenty of times in the past. Back when it was kind of, a 20, under a 50-cent stock. I've played it before, so I've, maybe I can go back and check, but I'm not going to be someone to be playing it up here. Personally, for me, I just generally don't do that. But for those who bought it down low, you guys absolutely killed it. So that's awesome. DSGT. I don't know enough about the company though. So if you're up for me, if your average is 66 cents on this guy, I mean, you're up a killer amount already. So I would at least, if it's me, I'm taking something off the table. Whether it's if you believe in the company, if you like it, if there's reason to believe this is going to keep going, sure, hold some shares. But if you are up a lot and you're like, I don't know what to do, generally from my experience, when you get that kind of feeling, it's like, hey, just take something off, take some profit off the table. PKKFF, Canadian company working in China, deal with uplisting NASDAQ in Q1. Okay, that's actually interesting. Let's take a look. PKKFF. It's been pushing up, but this could be a potential monster, right? Uplisting to the NASDAQ in Q1 2021. Okay, this could be interesting. And here's your kind of area right here. It looks like, at least from the minimal charting we have, this up in here, this 160s an area. So this could be a good dip day, again, down 3%. 50 SMA is holding up for whatever that's worth. So if it does come down a little bit further, that's going to be a really good spot. But this could be a decent buy into holding into next year. Let's see what else. This is down today. NVIV is down. This one I started scaling out. I mean, I took a decent chunk off already. We have 800 left. It hit 88, but it hit 95 in the after hours yesterday. So NVIV is one that I was playing from the 60s. hit 95 in the after hours, so I took some shares off. I'm looking for 97 and then potentially more. So maybe what happens today is we get a kind of a cool off day before potential further move. We'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, I mean, if this does come down to my average, I kind of like that zone, so I would be fine adding more. Or if it does, even if I had to cut it, I'm not going to lose money on the trade. So this is kind of already a winner in my book, NVIV. Now just riding for a little bit more. So I don't want to be, panic selling here today because it's down. I took profits at 93 cents, 87 and then 93. I took some off, about half, I think. So now, let's see what happens. Let's let this one play out. So, now the risk is minimized. If it does dip, it's not as big of an effect on the account as if it was So this is kind of how I start to scale out of these things. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard some stuff about Fubo. I've heard both positive, good. I think they also have the sports betting aspect of that because it's an interesting side. So let it play out. I think it's a decent potential start to buy in these levels if you wanted to. I don't have it right now. I bought it at 9. I'm probably not going to be buying it right now up at these levels because I had it at 9. Ideally, I would have just held, but I made profit on it. So that's kind of how I look at it sometimes. Like, I don't know. I was in it, and now I move on to the next ones. IDEX. People are talking about IDEX. Let's see. Oh, yeah, another thing to watch too today, which I don't know how this is going to go, but one thing to note is offerings. So we've already seen, I think, CTRM this morning. CTRM is a shipper, as they say. IDEX actually isn't in a terrible spot. I mean, I'm not going to play it, but it's down around this 185, around 50 SMA coming up. I think it could have some decent support. I would say under $2 is a decent entry for what it's worth. Wouldn't hold it below 165 personally. That's just how I'd play it. So you're risking 30 cents to the downside from right now for a potential move back up towards 250 plus. So you're going to be making, potentially on 260 plus. And in this case, so you're looking at risking 30 for 60. It's a decent risk reward. Just make sure you kind of have that ironed out though in your head before you just go in. At least that's how I would play it. INO is coming down 825 area. This just could be a decent support level right now. In the lower 8s, this could be a decent level right here. So like what you kind of have is some support right there. That we can probably run it even in a downtrend here too. Roughly, it's decent little rough downtrend. So that's kind of what you're looking at for INO. I wouldn't want to hold it to make a new low. So maybe 825 is whatever this candle low is right here is your cutoff point. But a breakout over this kind of rough downturn, a breakout back over the 50 SMA, back over 10, a little over 10 could get this thing started. I don't know enough about it to be to know the catalyst involved here, but that's that decent risk reward, at least in my eyes. Thoughts on EVFM? I'm still holding EVFM. I'm up from where I had my entry. I took some profits. It hit like 275 or something, so I took off something there, but I still have a decent chunk. If it comes back down, I'll be rebuying, but it's honestly at the 50 SMA right now, at the 230 or so is where it's holding up. So I would expect it to hold around that level. It did in the past. It hit the 50 SMA and bounced, so I kind of like it. I like this one I want to see $3, and I'm willing to hold this one longer. Honestly, I'm willing to hold this guy for, honestly, a couple weeks. This is more of a longer term play in my eyes too. But if it hits $3, I'll be taking profits, of course. But I think this one could, have a lot more potential. I think I talked about it in a video talking about some penny stocks for 2021 that are, more than just, your quick pump and dump plays, get in, bottom, get out. Like it's more, they have more longevity, they have more going on in the background. And EVFM is one of them. So, I'm going to be a little bit more on stocks like this. I'll be willing to hold it a little bit longer, and I'm looking for a little bit more of a return. So a low to average, looking for now $3 and then potentially more after that. So we'll see. $3 is going to be resistance. It's been in the past. So that's going to be a key area that we're going to have to watch on EVFM. So when we get up there, we'll see. They had a couple good things I think in the works. PSTH, SPAC, Bill Ackman SPAC. There's a lot of, I think that's, where is it? What's it trading at? In the 20s, I think? PSTH? It's in the 20s. It keeps pushing up. This is kind of like one of those like hype, I guess, plays. But I think either way, it's probably going to get, a pop once it's announced, right? It's going to get a pop. But this is one that I'm not going to play it right here. I don't think it's bad. I think it's fine, personally. The specs, I'm in GHIV, I'm in AMCI. Those are the two that I'm currently in. There's plenty more that you can probably choose from out there. And a lot of people are like IPOC. I never took it. What's it doing today? That's down. I would honestly, what I'm kind of hoping for is like, I would play IPOC, but if I can get it like under 15 is when I would like probably look at taking an entry. I'm kind of hoping in a sense, like as much as people don't want to hear it, I'm hoping we get like a decent dip. I'm hoping we get a decent dip into like, early January in the overall markets, which like gets the kind of people scared out. So I'm ready with cash to go. Like I'm only like half of my portfolio is in the market, maybe a little bit over half right now. I'm probably going to try to keep it around that level. And then, we'll see what happens into next week, but I'll be ready to buy stuff. I'd be 100%. If we have a big dip in the market, if we have like a 5% dip in, the S&P or something like that, or, for whatever reason, I think that's a dip buy opportunity, and I'm going to be, loading back into stocks that I like the most. So if we see some bottom out plays, that's that. FCEL, I'm out of FCEL, but I want to take a peek at it. So it's actually looking decent. So I got out. I wrote it from the sub 9 to over 13, and then I stopped myself out at the crack below 1130. Now it's coming back. It actually pushed up yesterday up over 12, so it's kind of in this range. So we'll see what happens. I think it's a decent. I think it's fine. I think it's let's see what it does. Now we can kind of do is like maybe a downtrend, kind of something like this, roughly. Not perfect, but like kind of like that downtrend, so we can break back above that, maybe move back to the upside. But my levels on FCL, if it does come down towards 925, is a solid support. Of course, I think FCL can do an offering, so be careful of the offerings. That's one thing I was going to say too. This could be a potential this afternoon. Just be careful of potential offerings. So I would be aware of what you're in, and then just be monitoring because the market is normal hours today. Just monitor what you're in and just monitor kind of what's going on in the after hour session, because the company could do an offering. And if that happens, you want to be either potentially ready to add or to cut, depending upon, your plan, your strategy going into the play. Like CTRM did one today, a shipping stock. I mean, this stock, let's just look at the 5-minute chart. It was pushing up. The stock was, getting a lot of attention. It was a 17-cent stock the other day, pushes up, hits like 50 cents almost. And then, come pre-market hours, come here 9 a.m., they drop an offering. The stock goes from 38 cents down to 20 cents, under 20 cents. I know a lot of people who are in that, and they got crushed. I personally wasn't. I actually kind of randomly bought SHIP yesterday. Very small shares. Actually, look at it, went up. I bought SHIP randomly yesterday. Not randomly, but like I was looking and seeing, hey, SHIP are starting to get some attention. Let's see if I can buy SHIP. I kind of like where it was kind of bouncing around 50 cents. I actually had my average was exactly 50 cents. So I felt pretty good about that. And I sold it at 56 this morning, just before the CTRM offering, just to clean up. So I actually was able to sell it like up here, luckily. But it dipped, but SHIP didn't have an offering. They actually can't do any offerings. SHIP and Tops, I think they will not be doing any offerings, at least for a few more months, I believe. So that's, let's see. PPBT, former KTV. Let's take a peek at it. Purple Biotech. Oh yeah, then they changed their name, right? So okay, let's get rid of this bad boy. Yeah, it's coming down to this spot right here, right around this 30, this 360-ish area. Seems like a decent bottomed out spot. I think a lot of these plays are going to get a lot of these bottom plays are still going to be very hot into January. That's traditionally what you generally see as well. Also, one thing to note is I'm going to start buying ATOS. I'm actually going to be a little more, I'm not going to start going crazy, but I'm going to be buying a little more ATOS, because I was actually looking a little bit. Actually, here, I have it pulled up. Let me refresh the FinViz. So under 10 million float, which I think is decent. It's fine. They just did 2 offerings. I wanted to look a little bit deeper into this guy today, but they did 2 offerings, and it's sitting here at a super low level, gaps to the upside. I like it. I'm looking at what they have in terms of like, this is their site. I was looking at like their pipeline, catalysts upcoming. They have multiple things. Now, this could be a good and a bad thing. They have multiple things that they were supposed to announce, either updates or something. They were supposed to get something by the end of December. So kind of either waiting on updates from them. But what does that tell me? When there's multiple updates, and then I was reading through a bunch of these things too, and they were saying how they have updates coming, or they're starting a study, or starting in Q1 of 2021. What does that tell me? That's giving me reason to believe they're going to drop a press release. When you drop a press release, and even if it's just that they're initiating a study or a trial, we'll get a spike in the stock. That could be enough to get enough volume into the stock for people to say, hey, oh, look at this gap. We got a gap from $1 up to 125. I'm going to play, or 150, whatever it is. I'm going to play this guy. I'm going to get in, and that could be enough volume to send this thing. So that's why I kind of like ATOS a lot. So I'm going to be buying more ATOS today, if not necessarily just loading the boat today, but I'm going to have, obviously, keeping cash on the side ready to add in if I need to add into this guy to average down or to lower my cost basis. Of course, anything can happen. Could they do a third offering? I actually have to look and see how much they've used up of the shelf, I believe. So I'm going to look at that later today, but this is one that I like a lot. So it's bottomed out, kind of same type of idea that we looked at with NVIV, but we're kind of just in this phase. Like, we're in the early stage in at least the chart setup for ATOS. That's why I like it. AMBO looks decent. AMBO has been kind of a pain. I don't know what's going to happen with AMBO. It was like, I thought it was going to go a couple of days ago when it had a lot more volume, but it just I don't know, I kind of thinned myself out. Actually, what I could have done is I could have actually bought. The thing has been dipping down to 210 and then up to 220. It's like, if you want to play for whatever percent that is, like a 5% play every single day, it's been there the past week, down from AMBO from 210 down up to 220 every day. ADTX is one that we still haven't gotten news on this guy. So the longer we don't get news, the less I kind of like it. But it's coming back down to the loading range, around $2. If you can get it below $2, I think is fine. Just understand that we had this spike, so don't be going in as heavy, or at the same time looking for price targets of 225 and then 240 first. And then firstly, not in it, but if it does come down sub $2, I think I have an alert set for that. So I should get alerted on my platform, and it'll tell me, and I'll be going to check it out. So that's what I'm probably going to be doing with ADTX, at least for right now. But that spike was the opportunity to get out, personally. I mean, if the thing goes up from under 2 a couple of days ago to over $3, you're up over $1, per share off of no news or just anticipated news. I mean, come on, take something off. I took it all off. That was it. I don't care. I mean, I was looking for the news, but at the same time, I don't need the news to take profits. TTO, of course, here we go with this guy. Looking to buy the dips. I have an extremely small size, and now it's pushing up. It's green on the day already. A lot of these dips, a lot of these early dips. Let's go back to SNDL. I mean, it's actually kind of just holding down where it is. But a lot of these dips have been getting bought up in the pre-market hours, or not the early market hours. How do you set up date on offerings? So what you can do is you can utilize BAM SEC. So if you want to go into a stock, for example ATOS, and you should be able to see an S1, S3 on file. When you see those things, you can look into them further and look a little bit further, or you can look into even if you want to go to Seeking Alpha, go to SEC filings. You should be able to find a lot of stuff in those places. So that's kind of how I look at it. That's how I kind of see. Of course, you don't really know when it's going to happen, so you kind of have to just be paying attention. Not paying attention, but you kind of have to just stay tuned to your kind of the stock news and things like that. Now, of course, you can have scanners, and you can pay for scanners and news scanners and all that stuff, which I don't think you need to pay for, but you could, which you can utilize, and many people do, as they kind of get more advanced in their trading. I personally don't really see offerings. I mean, I don't want to be in a stock with an offering, obviously, but I've been buying post offering a lot of stocks. So if I get caught in an offering, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll most likely just buy the offering and then sell out on a pop to kind of minimize a loss, or kind of average down enough to the point where I'm able to do that. So that's kind of generally how I'll do it. What is AMBO doing? It's just kind of like it's sitting around. I'm kind of trying to thin it out, so it's sitting at the support. I think it's fine. I want to kind of see, it's been in a range, so I'm kind of trying to look into range trade. So I have a couple sell orders set, and then if those fill, then I'll put a buy order here at like 210, and I'll just keep range trading, leaving a little core of a share size on AMBO. But I mean, the chart setup is still looking good. Any PR can send it, for sure. So we'll see if we get something on AMBO. But that's kind of what I've been doing lately on this guy. HUSA is actually coming down to a decent spot. So I've actually just been kind of like holding like 100 shares because I've been selling this thing pre-market the past couple of days. And it's been popping up pretty nicely. So HUSA, let's take a look at USO really quick. I may actually look to no, not this. I want USO, United States Oil. Down a little bit today, but not bad. I'm probably going to be buying HUSA. Anything under 170 I like a lot. So and USO has been kind of in a range, but I think it's setting up potentially for the next move up. So USO has been trending up beautifully. If this sets up for a pop, or we get some news out of the Middle East or whatever, we can get an oil pop, and when that happens, HUSA is a prime candidate for a spike. But see all these spikes? These are all happening in like pre-market hours. That's why you look at the daily chart, and it looks like nothing's happening. It looks like we don't have much going on, and that's a good thing, at least in my eyes. So I'm going to start to buy this guy. I might put an order here at 171, just for like just another 100 shares, and I'll just slowly kind of add into this position. And then what I do is that when my orders fill on HUSA, every time I feel the orders fill, I immediately go and set a sell order. So I immediately go and set, like if this 100 shares gets filled, I'll immediately set a sell order for like 197 for 100 shares. And like a good to canceled sell, extended hours checked, boom. I do that. Like these things get hit in the pre-market hours off of like anything. If any other oil play has news, other sympathies plays start popping up, HUSA is right there, right behind it. If we get any kind of USO or any oil spike, boom, these things get hit. Almost, it's like HUSA could be the stock that eventually, when it finally goes, low float stock, and it really breaks out over 2, and it starts, opens the day over 2 and pushes up, it could go could it go to $2.50, $3? Yeah, that's like probably what I would be saying is like my realistic target. Could it go more? Could it get nutty? Yes. So it could be one of those stocks that ends up being my biggest winner ever because I just play it so many times, and it's been somewhat consistently reliable. Of course, you don't want to be going in massive, so I don't go in massive on this guy, but I do go in and I immediately set my sells, and I take my 10, 15, 20%, and I just do it. It's been multiple times the past like 2 weeks I've been doing it. So even if you want to set like a 185 sell, 185 has been hitting as well. Maybe you sell some small shares there too. HCHC. HCHC. Let's pull this bad boy up. Been kind of in a range. Let's see if we can zoom this bad boy out a little more. It's been kind of in a range, but now it's coming down to the bottom end of where it's been roughly trading at. But it just had a spike yesterday, right in pre-market hours or after market hours. It had a spike up to like 425-ish. Okay. It's in this kind of, I don't know. I wouldn't really like it under $3. So maybe it comes down to 3, you buy there, and then if it drops below, that's it. It's probably how I would play it, personally. This has been like honestly, it's been a kind of a weird week overall. I would say in the markets, I've had like ups and downs, but swings. I've taken a couple little day trades here and there, but nothing really crazy. Swings just kind of slowly adding up, accumulating, stuff. TTO is still looking decent. Of course, this is never going to get filled, so I'm going to get rid of this for now. Had the opportunity of the day I honestly probably should have just bought that I should have been a little more serious in buying that, up my order a little bit. But now it's up, from where it dipped down to 116. It's up, 12 cents off of that already. So solid. Let's take a peek at AMBO. This bad boy, it's so funny. Like one of my shares got filled at like a weird price, and so I have like 299 now, 399. So I sold some. Now I'm gonna see if I can put an order in down to like 210ish, and if that fills, awesome. And then we could just flip those shares. It's one of those stocks that like I'll just flip it. I'll keep flipping it at this point with a smaller share size to make a few bucks. Not that it really matters, but I'll flip it until hopefully we get a bigger run. So it's still sitting in a nice spot. So now, okay, that got filled. So let me just put that in. Actually, I should probably put in an order for, because of that 299 is just like pissing me off. So I got to kind of like round that out. So I'll put in a 1 share order as well, just to round me out to 400 once if it does fill, if it does come down. So that might dip down and fill later today. If not, maybe it hits this sell and maybe I'll do the same thing. But obviously I want to see on this guy, I want to see a bigger move. So what's the bigger move on AMBO? Either we get news and get a bigger spike, which it has potential to do. This is just like Amazon news, so it's actually pretty big. Over to like 55, 260, and then back over to 75, 280. This thing gets going. So over 280. AMBO gets over 280. So before 280, yeah, I would be putting some sells to take some profits to make sure you take something off the table, lock something in. But over 280, this thing looks pretty good, I think, for potentially a bigger spike. Not that you should just hold the thing blindly until then, because what I've noticed too is that if you have a cash account, if you're someone who doesn't have to worry about PDT, which I totally recommend for people who want to get into more active trading and want to be kind of like, you don't want to have to worry about the PDT rule, taking day trades, things like that in the US. Go with a cash account and play with smaller size. I mean, I don't care. I've been playing with a lot smaller size, but I've been flipping things a little more. And so, okay, you stack up a couple of smaller wins here and there, but it adds up, because there's a lot of times there's stuff that's there every single day. There's little trades you can take every single day. Okay, MVIS. I've been kind of rambling on. So MVIS is actually kind of right at the spot that I would like to see it hold. So I would like to see it hold the upper fives here today. If it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised to get rid of this. I would not be surprised to see this thing coming down towards maybe $5 and potentially further to the downside. So would not be surprised if that's the case, if that's what we see today on this guy. OSMT just received. Let's take a look at OSMT. PDUFA date, nothing major drug, big rumors of buyout. This could be a decent dip play, right? Down around $4, holding up $4 support. OSMT could be solid. I kind of like that, actually. I can add this to the list too. I have my list has become massive. It's become just absolutely massive, which is good because now I'm not taking every single trade on the list, but I have a list. So now if I'm looking for entries, I have a couple things that I have starred, so I like those more. So I take those entries first. And every single weekend, what I usually do is, so like, for example, on this list, I have probably like 40 stocks now, which is too many, right? And I'm not in 40 stocks. I don't like doing that. I don't like being in too many stocks, and it's tougher to manage. And if you're not paying attention, it's tougher because I generally like to swing trade. Now, when I'm watching stocks, like when I have a bigger list and I'm watching things and I start seeing things more, I'm noticing trends and noticing little things. So like MITO, Mito, Stealth Biosciences. Look at this play yesterday. I was watching it. I put an order in at 140. Of course, I just missed it. It dipped down, then it popped back up. I put the order in, missed the order. But I could have doubled down. I could have literally doubled my share size. It would have been fine doing so, right? And I lowered my average. And then intraday, the stock was up 15% off of that low. So as you start watching stocks, you start noticing dips. Like, hey, this stock's kind of in a low for the relative range it's been trading in. Could be a decent dip. And many times, I take advantage. You can take advantage of those dips and start flipping shares off of your kind of holding a core position size and then flipping shares. So that could be the benefit of having a bunch of stocks on a watch list, or being in small share size on a bunch of stocks and just kind of watching them, noticing the trends, noticing how they trade, and then buying when they're relatively low. Of course, it's all relative and depends on how you're seeing things, and then selling into some pops. This is using Webull. I am using Webull right now. So you can get. They actually, I think they're extended to the 4 free stocks. So there's a link in the description of the video. all my videos, and this should be too, to get 4 free stocks if you like the platform. It's a free platform to use. I like it. The trading hours are actually awesome. The 4 a.m. Eastern trading hours is actually awesome until 8 p.m. So you can take advantage of pre-market. And then one of those things too, like I said, is I woke up today, ATOS, no, not ATOS, NVIV, is I wanted to just sell a little bit more. I sold some at 93 cents. I have the next sell at 97. So I said, you know what? Let me just put a sell order in here for 93 cents for another little bit of shares, just so that I lock in some more profits. And that filled in the pre-market hours this morning. It's actually not showing up on the chart that it filled, but it did. It filled in the pre-market hours at 93 because I had more shares last night. Now I have less. So I took some more shares off, and that was because it filled immediately at 4 a.m. So I woke up, checked my phone. Oh, hey, shares sold. So you can lock in some gains. That's why I like doing it. That's why I like always setting my good to cancel orders, just in case something happens and it hits. Let's see. Oh, I gotta fix this from pre-market to the day. So now we gotta look at the gainers list. ACY, is this actually running today? ACY is actually running today. ACY, crazy run the other day, but with that, we had ATIF. I wonder if ATIF is up today. Yeah, it actually is. ATIF, I think, owns like a portion of ACY or vice versa or something like that. So they kind of run in sympathy. ATIF, for those, I talked about how I like ATIF. I liked it back in here post-offering. I played it, sold some there, and then eventually I got back in. Then I kind of cut it, saying it was kind of getting boring because they used to drop news all the time. For those who did hold it down towards these levels, awesome, because that was a killer for those who held it. But a lot of times these things, they go. It's just a matter of, are you patient enough to hold them, And it's one thing to just be in a bunch of stocks, and it's one thing to time them. And at the end of the day, I don't really care. But I would ideally like to be in stuff the least amount of time, most percentage gain. That's the goal. But at the same time, if you're in ATIF and it's sitting here and you're like, and let's say you're just holding it and it's at 70 cents, and you're like, hey, until it drops below like 65 cents, I'm just going to hold this guy, and you sell it at 67, but the next day it runs to $2. It's like, if you just held it one more day, if you're just a little more patient, many times that's the case. Cscw was one that I think I tried to mess around with last night. I stupidly, play this one. I think it's okay. They had the launch of their platform today, or their product, or whatever it was. I think it's a sell the news. So I wouldn't be surprised if the thing comes back. Maybe it makes it run back over $1 in the coming sessions. I don't know, but that's one just at least to watch. Would appreciate, what do you expect CSW to? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I think it's holding up decently, in the upper 60s, low 70s for right now. So if it can do that, great. What has it been doing lately? I don't know how much the launch of the app, right? Was that what it is? English version of the app? I don't know. And everyone knew that was coming, right? So everyone knew that was coming, and that's always what signals to me. It's never, ideal to be buying into that. If you are someone who bought in lower, like I liked CSCW at this trend line, and unfortunately I had it on my list. It's on my list right here, but unfortunately it was on the list. I put it on the list on the 23rd that night, and then the 24th I was looking to potentially take an entry, and it already started running up, so I just didn't take the trade because I like to get them in low. So that's how I play it. I think it's a little bit potentially up too high for me, although it could certainly go back above 1. That's the next key. Getting back above 1, I would say, is the key for that. I think it's just potentially a sell the news for in the meantime. Let's see. Yeah, swing trading is I'm holding for more than I'm not selling it in the same day. A day trade, I buy it, something I sell it the same day. Swing trade, I'm holding at least overnight, potentially a couple days, potentially a couple weeks sometimes. I don't want to hold stuff, to be honest, more than a few weeks personally, unless it's a longer term investment more so. A lot of the trades that I take on this account that I go over pretty much all the time, every single week at least on the channel, those trades are shorter term swings, couple weeks max. That's it. Not really trying to hold over a month. Sometimes I may, just because it's sitting in the, I still like it, or there's a catalyst coming or something like that. So maybe, but rarely. I have FCell call, trying to be patient. I think it's okay. The only danger with FCell is that they are a dilution machine. So what does that mean? If we can go and pull up, let's pull up FCL. Let's see if we can see. Yeah, so they recently diluted, but I think they in the past of my times watching and trading FCL, because I traded it before in this range, they were not afraid of dropping offerings, and so up here at this point, they did an offering, I think on the, whatever this day was, back in here on the 1st, December 1st, which is what we had this gap down. So if I pull this guy up, let me get rid of this. If I pull, yeah, so that's why we had this gap down right here. If I zoom in from the 1st to the 2nd, that was the offering. So my only concern is if they do it again. They may not. They just recently did one a month ago, right? So maybe they're okay. They don't need to do it right now. But that's my only concern. But it's putting in higher lows, so I think it's honestly it's okay. So on a broader scale, it pushed up, hit all-time highs, right? Okay, pull back. Now it pulls back. It came down roughly to this area of consolidation that we saw up when we hit that prior all-time high, back at the end of November, early December, and it held up around that level of support. Now I want to see it getting back above, 12. If it can get back above 12, it's fine. So personally, yeah, there's always the risk of the offering, but I think it's looking okay. It's looking fairly healthy still. TRXC looks like a potential swing. Let's pull this guy up. Daily chart pulling up. This actually looks like it's decent. Let's see if we pull up like a trend line. So there's your trend. Today it's up 4%, but it's got range and move. And we've been seeing a lot of and also I think in December, January time period is when you see a lot of these like pennies, like true penny stocks, like under $1. These types of micro pennies, whatever you want to call them, these stocks getting hot. So this is one of those stocks, again, that's under $1, and it has ranged up here towards this 76, 77. Above that, I would say $1. So your targets on this guy is 76, or like 75 cents roughly, and then $1. Those are the first two targets. Now for me, I'm personally saying I would like this one down around this trend line. So if this comes down to the trend line, pretty basic and not basic, fairly easy risk to manage here. You buy this thing as close to trend line as you can, or you can average in. You can start buying here if you wanted to. But if it does dip, understand, have cash ready to be adding into this trend line. You crack the trend line, or maybe you crack this low right here. You crack 50 cents. You get yourself out. We're looking for more. So this could even go today. Honestly, it's up 6%. It's actually starting to go right as we were talking about it. So it's pushing. So this could be a decent place. So those who bought that dip early this morning around 60 cents, that looked pretty good. So I think it looks pretty good. Let's see. SWN, making reverse. Let's take a look at SWN. Starting, so it dipped down to just under 3s. Now it's coming back a little bit. Yeah, this is another one of those where it's like, uptrending, higher lows being put in, so you can draw our little trend lines roughly. There's your trend line for now. And it's pretty close to the bottom of the trend line, so I kind of like that. Decent risk reward here, looking for maybe even $3.75 to $4. Wouldn't want to see this thing dropping below. Maybe you put your risk at 290. That's like the low area you don't want to hold below. Boom, I think it looks good. Not as much. Actually, if you start zooming out, it has some range. If you look back to the left, you look at the weekly chart. Yeah, it has plenty of range. If it does get going to the upside, I do kind of like that. Okay, so let's see. Look at TTO, back to 230. Slowly just grinding up. I wish I had bought that dip. I would have had my average so much lower, but I didn't do it. I missed it. NEO hits 50, exactly. And now it's coming back down. So now what I want to see is I want to see it holding up around this. See this line that I have in here at like 49? Reason why is because that was a pretty key area I was noticing. If I go back and zoom in, it was a pretty key area in the past that seemed to be held up. NEO when it gets up to like 49. So now I want to see like around 49 hold up as like new support. And if NEO can hold up around 49, that would be a good sign for the potential next leg. And now I think as we get into January, we may start to see more of this hype going into NEO Day. So what is that? They're supposed to announce some new technologies, new car, new sedan model, whatever, on NEO Day, which is the 9th of January. So that's why I do like it. And based on how the chart setup is looking, If NEO can continue to hold up around these levels and put in higher lows and continue uptrending to the upside, I'm going to be riding this guy up for a potential shot to all-time highs over 57. I think $60 is certainly possible. That's what I see on NEO right now. So that's my plan. I'm looking for more. Although we get closer to NEO Day the 9th, I'm probably not going to hold my full share size into that day, just in case, because I'm already up 20%, whatever the number is, from my average on these shares. Of course, I still have NEO as a longer term play as well. But in this account, that's what I did. But I don't want to just have NEO Day come crashing down and let's say something bad happens. You have something goes wrong, it doesn't meet expectations, whatever, and the stock plummets. Main time, it's a sell the news. You play the anticipation, hey, we're getting closer, and then the day happens, the event happens, Apple event, Tesla's events, boom, it sells off. It's common. A common pattern that you see. So that's what that's my play. Yep, using Webull. This is my Webull platform. You can still get 4 free stocks, link down below. I opened some free stocks this morning. I got some shares of Yelp actually today. That was my free stock I got from Webull. I got some Yelp, which is decent. I mean, Yelp is actually looking decent, to be honest. Glad I got Yelp now and not a couple months ago. $30, $32. Okay. What was I going to do? So AMBO is just in there. TTO is fine. Everything else. GHIV is one of those that I think is a pretty decent risk-reward SPAC play. If I'm looking at GHIV as it is, yeah, it has this gap to fill down here. So I mean, my average is 1250. Is it the best average? No, I kind of caught on a little bit late with this guy, but this is one of those that I think has a good shot post-merger. It's going to merge on the 20th of January. So let it kind of push into the merger. We'll see what happens. I'm looking to hold this one. So this is an example of a potential month hold. Yes, sure. If the stock hits $20 before that, I'll be taking some shares off for sure. But I think we can see potentially more than $20 post-merger. That's my take on GHIV. CRBP is one that I'm also in. It's sitting at the 50 SMA, so it's sitting right here. I might just grab 100 more. Just because, let's see, let me grab 100 more out of 23. Just because I want to just steadily bring my average down. I had a terrible average. I can double my position still. No, not really. I can add to my position a little more if I wanted to. But I think this one might be one of those where a potential 50 SMA bounce. So sitting right here, bounce off this blue line. It has range. It could come down a little bit further. Could it? Yes. Do I want to see that happen? Ideally, no. I'd kind of like to see a bounce from here. Would I like to buy more? A little bit. So if it does come down, I have cash available and I'm ready to buy more. That's at least my plan on this guy. But it's been what's weighed me down the past week and a half because I bought up way too high. I have a terrible average, a 172 average. Stupid. I thought it was going to break out over $2 and I started buying and I wanted to make sure I got a piece of the move, which again, FOMO in a sense, stupid. So everyone does it. Happens all the time. And I thought it was going to break out over 2, and I thought it was going to make a run to 260 plus, and it didn't do it. It came right back down. So that's why my average is terrible. We'll see. But, you manage it, and there's no reason to, I still kind of think it's fine where it's at. So I'm not really worried about it for right now. On the weekly chart, there's a massive gap to fill, so there's just so much potential there. You mentioned bullish engulfing. Do you ever use it? I don't really use it too much. You can get caught up in that stuff. I personally, that could be a good bullish indicator, but I don't really use it too much. It depends on what you like. If you like that type of pattern and you're noticing this is working right now, then that's maybe what you see. For me, I haven't really had the need to kind of to use that too much. It's an indicator that you can use in a lot of these different screeners. You can they have all these different indicators that you can screen for. So it's definitely a helpful tool, at least to use and to kind of sort through. FSR is honestly kind of boring. It's sitting here, but I'm not, it is what it is. I'm still holding this trend line. I think it's fine for where it's at. I still see it going higher in the future. They have been kind of quiet, so that's also potentially a good thing. Maybe there's something coming and any news could pop this guy up. What I'm planning on doing in my long term is that since I'm up so much on my FSR shares, because I'm up from a 10-ish average or closer to 10. So what I'm doing with those is, if we get a pop towards 20 or so, or get a little pop, and then at some point in the future, I forget how many shares I have. I'm going to sell out a smaller chunk, maybe a third of those shares. I'm going to sell a third of those shares, and I'm actually going to probably buy like either some other SPAC plays or CGC, some low risk SPAC plays, or CGC is what I'm going to go for. So CGC, I kind of like where it's at. Let's look at the daily chart. 50 SMA right here, I like it. I like a bounce around 25 for a bigger move. And also CGC is another one of those cannabis related plays that I think potentially may get a spike even next week with the Senate runoff election. If that is Democrat, if it goes to Democrats, which I have no idea, I'm not political here, but if it goes to Democrats, that's going to be big for, I think, weed stocks. So that's just one thing to just be potentially ready for come next week if that happens. BNGO has been a beast. Let's take a look at BNGO. So this has been up. Let's see how it's doing today. Let's look at the 5 minute. It's doing up 26%, 27%. Popped up to over 3. Uptrend's still intact. So here's the uptrend line that I have. Roughly the past couple of days, it's still intact. So I think it's still looking really strong. Personally, I took a little bit of an overnight trade a couple of days back for an overnight trade. That's what I did on BNGO. But outside of that, could it keep going? Yes. I'm personally, it's at this area. This 275 was resistance and $3. After 275 and 3, this could, go to potentially 4+. I could see $4 next week on it, but I'm not going to be the one holding it for that, anticipating for me, it's like I played BNGO so many times, and now I know that they have some stuff here that could be very, very useful and very, big, but I don't know. I'm not personally going to play it up here at this point. Just my style. Do I understand that I miss out on a lot of things and a lot of potential, plays? Yes, but it just makes it easier to kind of stick to my plan, stick to my style, and that's really it. It works for me. Let's see. Now Neo's bouncing off the 49, so that's good. I like that. So if Neo can kind of hold up here, that's a good bullish sign. Fubo. Let's see where Fubo is at. We talked about how earlier at the beginning, this range under 30 to about 25 or so is a good buy range in my opinion. I like that as a solid buy range for right now for Fubo, personally, at least. At least that's my take on it. I think there's people who say they don't like it long term, whatever. I'm not gonna probably buy it up here because I had a sub 10, but this could be a decent buy range under 25. Maybe that gets a little interesting to the downside. So maybe that could be it gets where it gets a little bit potentially scary, maybe, but I still think it's okay. What else do we have? Oh, I'm gonna see if I can let's take a look at ATOS. This is when it gets quiet. Let it get quiet here. Let me just what about 87.8? Let me see if I can put in a 200. About 200 share little guy. Let's see if we can just buy that, and I'm just slowly kind of adding into this guy. It's averaging up actually because I have a pretty solid average. But again, ATOS is another one of those stocks that we kind of talk about too. Past 5 days, look at the pre-market. So if you were just simply to just flip this guy, it's like 5% every day. You can buy this thing at 87, sell it at like 90. Okay, so it's a couple percent. But pre-market hours, if you're ever like in too big, or you are kind of like you want to lock in gains, immediately, when you buy something, immediately go and set a good to a canceled sell order for like 3 to 5% above your price for maybe like 10% of your shares, and maybe you'll just wake up every single day and just keep flipping 10% of your shares. It's a way to kind of compound things if you really wanted to a little bit more, if you're looking for something like that. So that's something that I could do, probably not going to do, but I do need to probably set some sell orders at some point here for ACOS. So I may do that actually. I may set like a 300, like 97 cents again, just in case it hits that level. Hopefully these shares fill. So this is kind of what I do to set things up, just in case I'm, not paying attention. There's either news or something happens, or we get a kind of a random volume spike. Many times, those orders can get hit, and then it comes right back down. I can just buy them shares back for lower. SNDL is actually, I got a decent average. So it's kind of when you kind of just, it's not, you kind of bought this dip here at 46.80. I did a dip further, yes, but I kind of timed that decently, I guess, for now. But I like SNDL into next week, so I could buy more and I'll see. But I might just hold those shares because I think SNDL is a stock that has 100% potential, like at any given time. It just needs the setup. It just needs kind of, the volume, and it needs the news potentially or a catalyst to send it there. And I think next week's catalyst could be what we get, right? With that Georgia runoff, we get the Senate. If that vote is 2 Democrats, still who knows how likely that is. Could be good for weed stocks is really what it is. So, yes, a lot of people keep asking. This is Weeble. BVXV. This guy is sitting here. Oh, how? Let's see. 235. I wouldn't want to see it going below 235. So, it's, I think under 3 is decent. Also, another stock, AKBA is a similar kind of setup as well. Decent gap to fill. Take a look at where it's at, under 3. I like it. I like it in this range. It's in a range I think is a good spot. If you like AKBA for a potential buy, any news sends this guy up into this gap most likely. CRBP, I'm in that guy for now. I still think it's fine. I want to see this area, this 50 SMA, that blue line kind of holding roughly where it's at right now. If it doesn't, does that mean get out? Probably not. But I want to roughly see that area hold, so we'll see how this goes. I'm in it, so I'm looking to buy more, buying the dips here on it. NOVN. Oops, that's not NOVN. This thing is, I think it already went. Yeah, it went to over 1. I'm not going to mess with that. I mean, look at the history of the stock. I mean, look at these spikes, whether you want to get caught up in the news or not. Let it come down. Let it come down again. It's down to 81, so okay, that's a little bit better, but here's the trend line for right now. If it comes down to that trend line, maybe that's a better spot around 70. I personally wouldn't even be buying this trend line after a spike like that. I personally would be looking to buy this thing down 50 SMA, maybe down towards like 60 cents or so. If not, let it come down even further. I mean, that's how I would do it. But like, if you watch the past history of these stocks, look at how they kind of move. Uptrending, cool. It made this little pop to 134, comes down. Maybe it gets a little pop a couple days later, but eventually it's coming right back down. NOK, 5G play. Yeah, I do kind of like that. Let's see what NOK. Nokia, okay. Yeah, with zooming out, there's a kind of a downtrend that we have. I know people like this one. I don't know how much potential it really has. Personally, I don't know enough about what they're doing in terms of 5G, but I still think it could be a decent play. Let's see if we pull up these lines. So we're coming to what looks like some type of point at some point here. So we're in this area. Maybe I don't want to see this thing going below 320. So okay, you're risking, whatever that is, 65 cents, 67 cents to the downside on it. Yeah. Could it be a decent kind of risk reward? Yes, I think it could be. But if it breaks over 5, yeah, it has room. I think it's okay as a decent 5G play. It might not be bad. I'm probably not going to play Nokia just because it doesn't move as much as I kind of like to play stuff, but it could be a good play. Oh, XL Fleet. I'm still in half my shares that I had from a while back. So I had shares at 10 something. I'm in half. I sold half over 30 because I was like, I got to sell this. It was up too much. And now it's coming back down. So, okay, let it kind of cool off. And maybe there's going to be a dip buy at some point. I think the potential dip buy area you're looking at maybe around $20. If it comes down to 20, that's where I would say maybe that could be a decent spot to look to buy some. If you're not in, it's just up a lot from where it was. So I don't know if I really would be big on getting in kind of now with a larger size. I think it could be a decent play longer term. Decent. But 20, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like $20 I would say is a decent spot to look to start buying. If you want to buy now, maybe it recovers off here, but it's coming straight down. It looks like it has that shape where it's starting to kind of slow the move down and looks like it may want to consolidate. And so my guess would be around 20 bucks because that was just kind of this little high right here. And 20 bucks is like kind of a solid whole number. Easy to kind of identify as support, resistance like that. So CLRB, let's pull up CLRB. This kind of popped lately, but now it's consolidating in this range. So I want to see in the two, it's consolidating in this range. So until it makes a new low, I mean, I think it's okay. But it has range up to $3, so it can make a big pop. I think it can make a bigger pop actually. But $3 is your kind of range. So you kind of see this big dip down here, but it's still in this consolidation rough range. So if we were to draw in, let's just draw in some lines. We have a kind of like, here's your kind of range that you're looking at roughly. Rough. It's not perfect, but that's, would like to see it hold up in that range. If it dips down below, I don't want to see it holding down below this range. If it does, that's not a good sign. So if it's a quick dip down below and recovers, that's one thing. But just if it does, make sure you're watching it. I think someone talked about Mtec. Let's take a look at what this guy's doing, how it's doing these days. I got out of Mtec because it dropped below my support lines, and that was it. Now, it actually recovered decently, like a little bit back up to, back into a decent spot. But is it at a terrible spot right now? No. I just saw it dropping below my supports, and I just got out. That was my plan. So, get rid of this guy. Maybe it holds up around this 350 area. That could be a potential entry spot. I have the setup that I have is I have a video. If you type in, or just even type it in on YouTube too, Webull custom layout. My video should come up to how you can set up the setup just like this. Sometimes I'll use a bigger charting feature. So this is like a big, nice fat chart. But this customized setup is my customized layout that I, customized obviously. I have a video going over how I did that. So if you want to check it out, that should be on the channel as well. Like Webull playlist as well if you want to check it out. Yep, exactly. ACAM. Another SPAC play here. Okay, this is I don't know what the SPAC is, but that said, risk reward here is good. Your risk reward here is really good. 11.26. You have a $1.26 downside. Probably won't come down that far, to be honest. Especially with how hot SPACs are now. Probably won't. But again, understand that that's your downside. That's your downside risk and upside potential here with a lot of these SPACs. I lie looking at targets of 15, 20. First two targets for me, roughly. Of course, you can dive deeper into the valuations of these companies as you learn more and research about what they're actually merging with, whatnot, and stuff like that. So, will there be a crash before or after Biden's office? I don't know. Personally, I think that what we're going to see is there's a couple of different potential catalysts at play that could not crash the market, but could cause some dips. So if we see a dip, I think it's a buying opportunity. I don't think that just because Biden takes over, all of a sudden the market's going to crash. I think we kind of know what's coming, right? I think everyone knows he's, we kind of know if something unexpected happens, then that could be what changes it. Okay, this is new news out of NIO right here. Let's just take a peek. Or at least I'm seeing it for the first time. NIO to match vehicle prices through January 10th as China plans 20% EV subsidy cut in 2021. Okay, so China's announcing its intention to slash electric vehicle subsidies further in 2021. NIO's fielding an offer to customers to circumvent the negative impact of the subsidy reduction. The cut by 20% on a year-over-year basis, according to the release. The reduction is a more modest 10% for EVs used for public transportation. Okay. With the reduction, subsidies for NIO's newest model would fall from 22.5 to 18. So NIO is announcing that if the customers pay a deposit on or before January 10th, they can purchase the company's EVs at the same price as in 2020. Okay, that's interesting. So what you're going to probably see now, just as something to think about, this could be interesting, because now that NEO does this potentially inflate their sales numbers short term? And do we see some crazy numbers, some really, really positive numbers in the short term out of NEO as they start to release sales? That could be interesting. Could be a strategic decision to push. Yeah, okay, especially competition intensifies in domestic market. Remains to be seen if this produces a pull forward effect that could impact sales in subsequent months. So yeah, okay, well, that'll be interesting to see. So that's interesting. So technically bad news, but also good news, I guess. Okay, fair enough. So that could be a little bit why NEO's popping 3% today. But it's back at 50. So I like where if NEO finishes up around 50, that's a good sign. If it can close around 50 or more, I would love that. That would be a really good sign for next week. Okay. Ogen. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button, that'd be awesome. We can blow those likes away. 33 likes is a joke, guys. I mean, we can do much better than that. NEO's back over 50. Ogen is up 11% today, popping over the 50 SMA. Past spikes have taken this guy up towards 65 plus cents. I kind of like these low, cheap penny plays. You have to be a little more lenient in your downside risk, especially if you're buying on a green day. So I don't like buying on a green day, but if you are going to buy on a green day, this is could be a decent opportunity, I think. These types of plays and being ready with cash to average down, down towards 40 cents or so in the low 40s. Be ready to buy at those levels. As long as that's in your plan, you'll be fine. CRTX is in a good buy area for long term. I think CRTX is on my list. Is it? No, CDTX. Maybe it is. I think maybe I talked about it too. Oh, here it is. Okay, so it's coming down to this area. It's trying to hold up. It seems like it's having difficulties holding up here around 28. But this could be a decent risk reward entry around $28. Reason why is because past dips down, we're down here to that 28 back in March. So that's why I kind of like that spot. So I do kind of like it as just a technical play, and even if it does dip further, I would say down towards $20 would be, your lowest end support. So this could be a play where you buy a chunk here, and then you look. I think I had this on my list at some point. I didn't take a position yet, but you look to be buying here, and then if it does dip down, have a second size or second half of your position ready to buy at 20. You get a new low, you go below 19.35, you cut it. So that's how you manage your risk, and your average at that point should be somewhere around like 24. So if your average is at 24, you lose $4 or $5, whereas you're looking for a gain back up to 40 plus. So you're looking to make 10 to 12. You're looking to make $12 plus per share, and you're going to risk 5. The risk reward makes some sense, right? It's a higher reward than your risk. I kind of like that trade setup. Let's see. Oh, it says my chat has been disconnected. What's going on? It says I'm disconnected. That's not good. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. Uh-oh. I don't know if you guys can hear me / see me right now, but unfortunately, that is what's going on. BNGO. Let's see what we got with BNGO. Last question that was put in the chat before it went down. Okay, BNGO is sitting here. It's holding up an uptrend right now, so I kind of think it's fine. It's holding this uptrend right here, putting in higher lows, uptrending. It's been up a lot, so I think a cool off is not a bad thing. But if you're someone who's gotten in this stock under $1, take something off. If you are, if not, I don't know. I'm not playing it up here. Although if you are maybe down towards the trend line as best as possible, it could be the best spot. So let's see. I'm not sure why all of a sudden my stream seems like it went down. Or maybe I have to refresh this screen or something. But let's see. Hopefully everything's okay. Let me just check on here. Everything's okay. Okay, now I see the chat on here. For whatever reason on my other screen, I'm not seeing it. What do we got? Okay, so I'll let that kind of refresh. I'm missing some of the chats. Let me pull this over and let me actually pull up the chat on the side. So now I can see it. Okay, cool. Okay, now let's see. VGAC. Let's pull this bad boy up. Because I have my other computer pulled up on the side for, so I can see the chat, just so it's easier for me to see. Okay, VGAC is coming down. We have, what do we got? What do we got? Let's scroll. Now I got to scroll this bad boy over. Okay, a SPAC play, right? So looking at this bad boy sitting here in 1150, decent risk reward in my opinion, I would say. Based on this thing, SPAC plays under 12. I mean, I think they're all pretty decent as long as you do your risk. I don't know enough about it though, but as long as you do your due diligence, you know, you're doing your due diligence, you should be good under this point. GIX SPAC end of January, still very low. I like GIX. I haven't taken a position, but I think I actually, let's pull this bad boy up. Oh, I like that play too. That's one that I gotta, I have on my list. It's already on the list, but that's one for sure that I think, you know, is definitely a solid risk reward here. Under 10, fairly fine to buy this guy and not have to worry about it too much. Is how I kind of see it. Hit like if you're here. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. If you drop a like, that's awesome. That helps out the stream a lot. What happens with this is that, you know, we got more ideas in the chat, and then, you know, we get a more fun stream. That's what happens. So that's the effect of the like button. Okay, I don't know why my other computer seems like it's not working either. Like Gmail or whatever is not popping up, or Chrome maybe down. I don't even know. Trying to pull it because I want to make it so that I can see the chat nice and easy. TRCH. Let's see TRCH. Pull this bad boy up. Pull up the daily on this bad boy. I know it's kind of a little bit off. Let's see. Hit the like on 3 devices. I love it. I appreciate it. Let's see. I might have to pull the chat on my phone, actually. Let me just do that so it's easier. Okay. The TRCH has been on a decent uptrend lately, for sure. So let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can put in high or low. So I would want to see this thing holding up over like 60 cents. That would be an ideal spot to be holding up over. If it can hold up over 60 cents, that would be great. If we can't, I would not want to see this thing going below 50 cents. Ideally, that would be the ideal spot. Under 50 cents, kind of, not in my opinion. I don't really like that anymore. So that's my take on this guy. Outside of that, let me see. Let's see. SNCA. Let's pop SNCA. Seneca Biopharma. Pushing up a decent amount today, so it's pushing up over, you know, 105. This could get interesting. Over 1. Let's pull this guy up. So yeah, this is actually looking good because if I pull this up and we look at this, what we can see is this is getting back over this 104. Over 104, and the party looks like it begins. Now it's getting some resistance up here. So 105, decent seller, 108, decent seller. So that's what we look at level 2 for sometimes. So, you know, for right now, I wouldn't take this trade right now. If you're in, because you're kind of playing the uptrend. But it could potentially break out, make a move towards these highs right here, up towards like 138 or so, which looks like it may want to try to do. So that's what it's potentially going for. In the meantime, I haven't gotten filled yet on my ATOS, which is unfortunate, which I'm still waiting on. So waiting on ATOS to fill me eventually. I'm going to get filled eventually. We'll get there. Don't worry. But it's taken its sweet time to do so. Okay, we're back on the left-hand side. So I got the chat up on the left. BNGO, let's pull this bad boy up because it's still going. It's still looking good. It's up 283. Let's back over 3. This thing can get interesting. 5-minute chart, it's trying to get back above, you know, holding this 275 rough area is a good spot in my opinion. I kind of like, you know, that was a resistance point that I pointed out in the past that I wanted to see BNG hold. As long as it can continue to hold that level, I think it's fine. So let's see. What else do we got? You subscribed to my channel with your fiance's account. I love it. Appreciate that. That's awesome. Fubo TV. Let's pull up Fubo TV. Let's pull this bad boy up. Yeah, I wonder if we're getting some other EV plays. I'm gonna go check out some EV plays too. I lose my voice sometimes when I'm talking too much. Yeah, so Fubo, for those who didn't see before, I like it in this range, $25. I want to see support hold. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Let's see. Yeah, EVs. Now let's go to EVs. Okay, EVs. Let's see how they are looking. So NIO's up, but we're seeing XPEV, LI, Li Auto, Tesla's up over 7. Tesla 709. Are you kidding me? Hit 712. That's insane. XL's up barely. Outside of that, the other Chinese EV play, KNDI, is taking some hits, but KNDI is sitting down here in a fairly decent spot. I'm not going to touch KNDI, but that's that. NIO is my favorite play for the Chinese EV trio. I guess NIO, XPEV, which is actually looking really good because XPEV is breaking out of this downtrend, similar to NIO's breaking out of the downtrend. So I kind of like XPEV for a potential continuation into next week, for a bigger move up, maybe to 50 plus. Let's take a peek at Li Auto. Dipped down below here, but it held up around 26, and then it's pushing back up. Yeah, so I don't know. The Chinese EV play is looking good. They had there's that news out of China, right? So let's see. Bank of America raises XPeng price target, sees more upside ahead. They raised it to 51, so there you go. That's why XPV is up, or one of the reasons why. Okay. CRBP, I think, is fine. I don't mind. I mean, let it sit where it's at. It's in a very kind of quiet point. I think I have some, so I mean, that's that. I'm not buying any EVs today because I already have NIO, and I'm riding my larger NIO position, I guess, in that's what I'm doing. But if there was one to buy for a potential continuation to next week, it probably would be XPEV with a $50 price target. I think it can make a run towards that level into next week. As long as NIO stays hot, EVs in general stay decently hot, I think that should be fine. KNDI is garbage. Yeah, that's my take. It's more the penny play, right? I don't like it as a play. But technically speaking, sometimes the technical setup, and I actually made a few bucks on it this week. So, if it cracks this downtrend line, this uptrend line, I don't like it. The play that it was is because they got some decent news, actually. So I day traded it off of the news for like $1, per share gain, which is pretty good. But that's what I did, at least on it this week, a couple days ago. Do you like MVIS yet? It's too high for me. Let's see MVIS pulling back. If MVIS can pull back, let's see down towards like 5-ish could be a potential entry, although it has that $1.50 price target by, I forget whoever put that price target out. Whether that has any effect, it doesn't. All it really was is for those who potentially shorted up here, make a few bucks, and now they get out, whatever. But I kind of like the technology that they have going on. So if it holds up in the upper fives, cool. If not, maybe down towards $5 could be a spot for entry. I would let it settle. So have this run, let it see what happens, see where it develops some support. If it develops some support, maybe around $5, cool. If it develops, how do you know? You kind of see it start to consolidate. You'll see the candles kind of more so look like they're horizontally kind of holding up, and it's not as volatile. That's when you kind of can tell. 10 shares of DRIV. Yeah, so that's yeah, there you go. So buy 10 shares of this guy instead of Tesla, and so you get in for, you get exposure to the EV market, you get exposure to Tesla without having to pay for Tesla. Yeah. Or you could get a broker that has fractional shares. I know Robinhood, I think Fidelity does fractional shares. I think other brokers do. There's other brokers that do it as well, but you can get fractional shares too and buy a fraction of a share. Will Tesla come back? I think Tesla's probably going to have a day or a period of time where the run ends, I think, at some point. Not that that this means, oh, sell like, no, but at some point this run will probably come to an end and we'll have a decent dip or a period of just longer term consolidation. And maybe that happens in the next year. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it happens in 2 years. I don't know. But I think a lot of these EV plays, they are not going to go up at 50% per month forever. You know, I mean, I bought Tesla. I was looking at it right now. I bought a decent chunk of Tesla in my long term in October. And I bought in October. And from right when I bought it, October 14th to now, it's up like 60%. I mean, 60% on that, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. I mean, the people who've had Tesla for a while, I mean, they're just, you know, this is making, you know, millionaires and millionaires, honestly, for those who have like large amounts of Tesla. But it's not going to continue like this forever at some point. Like, even look at like Apple. I mean, like Apple's up a lot, right? But Apple at some point has its periods where it just kind of cools off. Look at the weekly chart on Apple. Like, it has these times. It has these periods of time where it has a big dip. So Apple, if we look at this, you know, from back in, you know, 2018, October, up around $58, dips down to, you know, 35. So could we see that on Tesla? Yes. And then could it resume to the upside? Yes. But these parabolic moves, look at Apple's chart, still parabolic. This is probably going to come to an end at some point as well, to be completely honest. But look at Tesla as well. This is even more parabolic than Apple. At some point, it's going to kind of slow down on these moves. And when that happens, you know, cool. But I'm sure there'll be dip buy opportunities, and that's times when you'll be able to, you know, buy some shares if you missed out on the run right now. I don't know any news on the USPS deal for Workhorse, but we can look at Workhorse. XL, I want to see come down to 20. Maybe it puts in a hammer right here, which could be a potential reversal candle where we kind of dip down and then close up closer to the top end, or maybe even we close green. That could be a decent look. Let's see. Let's look at Workhorse. I haven't looked at this guy in a while, actually. So it's just sitting at $20. Like, it's just sitting right here at 20, pretty much, which is cool. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in Workhorse. If I was going to be in Workhorse, the time to be in was down here. Here was your swing trade idea. Down, you know, the sub 17 ads in this buy range up towards 30. That was a beautiful trade for those who had that trade. But I mean, for me, you know, I don't know. I'm not gonna play it here. NSPR was NSPR. Oh, NSPR is actually a stock that's on my list right now. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Thanks for bringing that one up, because I'm going to buy it right now. An SPR I actually have been wanting to get into, and I like it down towards like 30. Honestly, it's in the spot. I think I'm fine with this bad boy. I don't even know how many shares I could buy. How many shares do I buy on this thing? Because, like, you know, these stocks, like, it confuses me how much, like, okay, so I'm going to buy, it's sitting at 30, 34. I want to see if I can get it 33.75. I'll put an order in for 33.75 and see if it fills. I'll give it the day to fill. But yeah, this is definitely one that I've been watching. It's on the list. It's actually a star on my list. It's one that I want to get into. Also, let me pull up this. NSPR. Here's the kind of where it's sitting. I like where it's sitting. Float 32 million. It's fine. We'll see if we can find any. Okay, here we go. This is why I kind of like it. So we had insider or director buy on the 16th of October. Is it a big deal? No. But insiders bought at 45 cents. So, you know, $100,000 worth. Decent. So, okay, the stock's sitting below that. So we're sitting at a stock that's below where insiders bought. You would think insiders, you know, ideally, you know, would like to make money, or they wouldn't want to, you know, they don't want to lose money on those shares, right? So this could be a decent idea. This could be a good play. I liked it a couple days ago, but it was up here, and I kind of said, hey, let's get a pullback down, you know, down a little bit more, and that's where I'll be looking to take it. So if I look at the 5-minute on this guy, yeah, I put the order in. Honestly, I can put it to like 34, just for a starter size. So for those who wanted to, someone asked about a scalp trade idea. So here's a scalp trade. I'll give you an example. Scalp trade is like, okay, so how I do it, I'm a swing trade focused. I'm someone who's just swing trade focused. So for example, a scalp trade could be, let's pull up a decent example of one. Load's a good one. Load's actually a really good one. So LODE, yeah, could I buy more? Yes. Here's an example of load for a scalp trade. So load right now, we're looking at load's chart over the past like couple weeks, and we're seeing a clear range. So low end of the range has it down towards like 92. So for me, I'm adding on load. I'll be fine to add shares below my average down to 92 to build up my core position size. But outside of that, what I want to look at is I want to look at like the 1 hour chart to find the real like short-term range that we're seeing on load. And since the stock's around $1, about every cent is about 1% roughly, right? So if every cent move is a 1% move, then we're looking at load saying, hey, we can see load, has been dipping down towards $1. So maybe you can get a pretty, maybe you put an order in for $1, and I'll be looking to sell this thing at like 104, 105. So that's like a 5% trade every single time. And even though, right, you're doing that, right, you're kind of like, you're doing that on the inside, I'm still playing this trade. Like I'm looking at the chart, I'm playing this trade, it's sitting at support for a bigger spike, and that's where I'll be selling my core size. But on top of my core size, which I would like my core size to be over 1,000 shares eventually, but I want to see if it comes down further to build up the core size. On top of that core size, what I could do is, let's say I'm playing with, for example, let's say I have 1,000 shares of load. What I could do is buy 500 more shares. So let's say I buy 1,000 more shares. So now I got 2,000 shares. But then what I'm doing with that other 1,000 shares, or that other 500 shares, is I'm buying those shares at $1 and I'm selling them at 104. And I'm just doing it every couple of days. And this is one where it's like a lower volume stock, so you can do that. Other type of a scalp trade would be like, for example, like NEO today. I'm watching NEO. It immediately, I've noticed the past couple of days, look at the past like 3 days on NEO. Opens the day immediately. Within the first 5 minutes, it dips hard and then it recovers. Notice the past couple of days, dips hard, recovers. A scalp trade could just be that. So you're watching NEO, all of a sudden this thing dips down, there's no new news, it just dips down to 47. Boom, I'm buying this thing around $48 and I'm gonna sell it quickly at like 49. I'm putting a sell order at 49, boom. That's a quick little scalp, kind of idea. Let's see. What's your thought on blink and plug? Let's see. Let's pull up BLNK. I think, I think I like BLNK. I think I like more than plug. Is that what? Let me look at the charts and see what I think. Okay. So Blink is kind of consolidating up here. I think this could be getting ready for a potential next move up. Let's take a peek at plug. Plug, actually, the plug is like on a better potential uptrend to kind of see. I like them. Honestly, they're kind of similar to me. I think they're fairly similar. I think at the trend line can be a better add for plug. BLNK, I think, is a decent play that could make a big run back to 50 plus. I like BLNK in the low 40s personally right now. If it comes down further, maybe down towards 35, could have some support. So we'll see. Oh yeah, when it comes to books, I would recommend Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. That's my favorite kind of book recommendation. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Here it is. So this is what the book is. There's actually, I think there's free audiobooks on YouTube as well. I recommend stuff by Mark Douglas. He has a couple books, I think, as well. That's a I would recommend it. I think it's so much more important for the psychology of it than and I would look into books on trading psychology. I think that's more important than the actual technicals. I think you can look at videos, watch videos, you can come across technicals, you can try to, you can learn that yourself a lot easier. The psychology is the harder part, I think. NSPR, we are now in this bad boy. So we are in NSPR. Let me add this bad boy to my watch list on my phone. So this way I'm up to date on whatever happens with this bad boy if something happens. But I like that, I'm not in big, right? Because I can add to that bad boy next week. And of course, just in case, we see a further dip or a further sell-off in the market or whatever, I'm holding, some cash ready to, I want to have a decent chunk of cash ready to, to go at it. So, but a $34 entry for that, 34-cent entry looks pretty good in my opinion with, support down here, down towards 32. So maybe $32 is my next add zone for NSPR. And I double my position at that point, and then I can even add further from there. GP. Oh, this uptrend's looking really good. This is looking really solid. I want to see this thing making a break back above this 3250. GP back above 3250 looks really good, I think. What's the name of software you're using? I am using Webull. So there should be a link in the description of the video if you want to check it out. Grab, you get free stocks when you sign up, and the platform is free to use. And you can trade from 4 a.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. So it's like the trading hours I love. That's why I use it. NAKD, I don't really have a very strong opinion on NAKD. It's unless it came down to the 50 SMA, maybe then I would take a shot. But I don't like it right here. I don't know. I've played it too many times in the past and come down so far. I just not a huge fan. NSPR, either we get a PR. Let's see, NSPR, where is it? Either we get a PR or the first sell will probably be like 40 cents because of these kind of wicks and some of these spikes up here. Based on the chart, I'm seeing 40 cents. So if we do a quick risk reward on this play, so let's say we're starting value. Let's say I have an average. Let's say I add shares. I buy lower. Let's say I have an average like 33 cents. I don't want to hold it below 28 cents or so. Maybe that's my kind of risk reward. So I'm risking 15 cents to the downside. And then my first sell is 40 cents, for a 21% upside. That's not a great risk reward, but I think we can see more than that for sure. If we look at let's look at the 4-hour chart and see if we see any spikes. I think we could probably get like 45, 50 cents out of this bad boy. A PR could send it even more, a press release. So maybe if I was to adjust this risk reward, maybe if I go like 45, we're looking at a potential, double the upside than the downside. And I think I can get my average even lower if I was to hold this guy, if I was to buy this thing down towards like 30. If I got an average down towards like 32 cents, you got a much larger upside. So that's why the entry is key. Just because I saw this stock and it was on my radar because in the relatively oversold range, I could have bought it a couple of days ago at 38 cents. Now it's sitting at 34. It's down significantly, off of that. My average is not good, so that's why the average is key. It really is. So I think honestly I'm in a pretty decent spot with what I have. I don't have too much. We'll see. Let's see. SGOC has been SGOC, was that up today? Let's take a peek. SGOC. Oh, it just spikes. So this is one that I don't touch after the spikes. Maybe it comes and finds some support around 150-ish. That's where it seems like it's trying to hold up, but I don't touch them after the spike like this. Let them come down and consolidate. Honestly, an average closer to $1 would be best for this type of play. I'm not a big fan though, especially right after that. We'll see. What else is I'm waiting on some fills. I'm waiting on ATOS to get filled. It's not filling me because it's just kind of messing around. We'll see if that can get filled. Okay, DKNG. DraftKings bad boy is looking pretty decent. Stuff from where it's at. 50 SMA around 46. I like it as a decent dip buy. I kind of like it. Let's see how is Penn doing. Penn is coming back off. Okay, so they're pulling back. And then even LCA. Oh, it's not. It's GNOG now. Shoot, I forgot. GNOG came down to $20 and then bounced. So seems like it's got clear support at $20 for GNOG. So there it is. End of your options coming today. Yeah, usually it's like a weird. It could be like a weird. It could a weird time. I don't know. I haven't been watching like some of the options and stuff like that I've been looking at recently. Actually, J&J. Let's see how J&J. Market's still even, so J&J is down a little bit. So if I wanted to get J&J options, I could probably do that today. Wouldn't be a terrible day to do it. It's sitting right up at that point. I like J&J calls potentially into February, maybe I would say January, February period. Could be a decent time for some J&J calls because they have a one dose vaccine coming. On top of that, they're looking at all-time high breakout. So over 157 puts Johnson & Johnson at an all-time high. So this could be calls I would be looking at potentially. Maybe next week I'll be looking to buy some in this account. I would take them for like a day trade, maybe even in this account, if we had a breakout over 157. So until then, I'm not going to probably do them. If I did, what I would probably do would be I would take a day trade on them. So I buy a decent chunk. I'd look for a certain percent, gain here, take half off or take 75% off, and then leave maybe one contract as a lottery for a bigger potential move, which I would see. You break out to all-time highs, you can get a continuation for multiple days. Even if the market isn't great, this could be, could push. Now, ideally, we wouldn't want the market to just pull back 10% overall for Johnson & Johnson to keep making all-time highs. So the market's got to stay, relatively steady, plus or minus a few percent for Johnson & Johnson to have a nice, breakout. Obviously, if the market rips and it goes crazy, then it'll be, hopefully that even just accelerates the breakout. How's Hoth doing? Hoth was a big player today, this morning. Big pop, but a decent drop from then. So this one I wouldn't be surprised if it... Well, okay, so here's your support. So I would see if this 230 holds. 230, 225. If that can't hold, it's coming down. Hoth is probably coming down to $2. So if you were to short it, I would be shorting it potentially below that level. But I mean, I don't short really, to be honest. So if you wanted to, yeah, maybe that's your play. I'm using Webull. I have a bunch of platforms. I'm using Webull right here, which is more active trading platform. I have TD Ameritrade, which I have a small account there, which I use for kind of lottery plays, option plays, OTC plays. You can't trade OTC on Webull. I have Robinhood for a long term. I have M1 Finance for a long term. So I use a bunch, but I, spread my money up in a couple places. But I think Robinhood's fine for longer term investors. Webull for more active traders, I think. For sure, in terms of especially what you're getting on Webull. You're getting so much more analytics. You're getting so much more to look at in terms of technicals, indicators, charting features, scanning features, all that stuff. Yes, I am familiar with Ride and Workhorse. Let's take a peek at the EV plays. Where's Ride? Ride is here. Let's take a peek at how Ride's been doing lately. It's been in solid support, I would say, in the 20 area. So maybe it has some support around this level. Workhorse is same kind of setup. It's around $20. I want to see holding for it now. That's that. Yeah. So if you're 15, what apps? I would say. Well, the thing is, you're gonna have to get. If you're 15, you're gonna have to get technically, you're gonna have to have your accounts under a parent's name, I believe. So I would recommend Robinhood. It's super easy to see for long-term stuff, which is what I have my brothers use. And then I would recommend Webull for shorter-term trades. And if you want more analytics, you want more access stuff, Webull, Robinhood are probably my two most beginner-friendly, but they kind of offer unique things. Robinhood has a cash management feature, so if you have cash sitting in there, if you have settled cash sitting in there, you can get a debit card, so you can actually access that cash if you wanted to. But on top of that, you're going to earn an interest rate, which I think is 0.3% or 0.6%. Right now, when interest rates go back up, it'll be much better. But it's a high interest savings account at a minimum, so putting cash there is fine, I think. And then Webull, I would say, for short-term trades, pre-market hours access, after-market hours access, more kind of you can do more cool things as you kind of advance as a trader. So, Microsoft. Let's pull up MSFT. Okay, so there's your MSFT kind of uptrending. I think this is a good long-term company play. But I mean, look at the move, man, the past couple of years, just absolutely parabolic. Now, will we see these plays come down crashing at some point? Probably, but that's probably just going to get dipped by it, personally. That's my take. Robinhood could be short-term. I just recommend it as a long-term because, personally, you don't have great pre-market hours access. You don't have great after-market hours access. And if you're, for me, right, you can, whatever works for you is what works for you. But for me, short-term trading, I use more technicals. Long-term trading, I'm more fundamentals. I'm more looking for dividends. I'm looking for growth stocks. So I'm buying those things. I'm holding those things. I'm not worried about them. That's kind of what I'm doing on the side. I buy and I hold and I don't worry about it. And so I don't need to have technical indicators. I don't need to have level 2 time in sales, volume analysis. I don't need to have that stuff on Robinhood. I like the companies I buy and hold for a little bit longer periods of time. That's just my take. You can do it for any broker you want. You can do that on Webull. It doesn't matter. But Webull has all the other features, so I figure I utilize those features, and that's why I use it for more short term and Robinhood more long term, and other platforms more long term. Same as M1 Finance. It's a pretty easy to use longer term broker, I think, as well. SNDL has a lot of implied volatility. Cscw long term play. BABA. Options, put or call. So put means you betting on the stock to go down. Call means you're betting on the stock to go up. I actually have an updated video coming out today that I filmed yesterday. I'm going to post it later today. And it's going to be options, intro to options, and also like Webull, utilizing Webull's platform to trade options. So how to do it, what everything means. So it should be a good video. I know I have a prior video on Webull options. It's a little bit outdated, so I wanted to make a new one going into this coming year. How many companies are you typically invested in once? Usually what I do is on this swing trade account, I'm actively managing it, so I could be in. So what am I in? I'm in 15 tickers right now, maybe even more. I don't know, but I don't want to be really, honestly, the way that I look at it is that I look on the left-hand side of my positions on Webull. If I can see them all on one screen, on one list, that's fine. I don't want to go over that. If I can't see my positions, I'm in too many. That's how I kind of see it. The larger your account, depending upon your style and strategy, you could be in 1 million swing trades. You're just buying bottoms and you're selling into either news, press releases, sympathy runners, into pops. And so that's what you can be doing. I know people who do that and they do well. It just depends on your style. Outside of Webull, in like Robinhood or other longer term brokers, or for like longer term plays, same type of thing. 10 to 20 is usually what I'm in. As your account grows, you can be in more, but 10 to 20 is what I'm in. I'm in a bunch of different things in terms of some dividend plays, some ETF plays, some growth stocks, some more swing trades, a longer term options trade. I'm in a couple different things. Cscw. Cisco. Yeah, it could be. Well, actually, could be a decent longer term play. Here's your downtrend right now. So you have a downtrend, break out of that downtrend, which we're trying to almost do. Could be a signal to move up. I think it's at a decent spot for a dip, right where it's at right now. We're looking at the weekly chart. Let's look at the daily. Yeah, okay, it still looks good. Let's see. SNDL. SNDL is a volatile stock. You have to understand that. That's why I just started to buy some for next week potentially, but I'm not looking to be massive in SNDL personally. Let's see. What time do you get on able to pick your trades? Yeah, it doesn't really matter, honestly. What I generally do is I will look up. So I have a list in front of me of a bunch of stocks that I'm researching at night or whatever after the market's closed, or even during the day, whatever you want to do, whatever fits your schedule, whatever works for you. But that's when I'll be looking at stuff, and then I will from there, I'll take entries during the day. So I'm looking, hey, I like this area, I like this, for example, on the recent entry I just took. NSPR, I like 34 cents, that's a good spot right now. Okay, I'll be adding down towards 32. I put an order in for 34. I don't have to get filled right away. I don't worry about getting filled immediately. I don't care, but that's what I'll do. And then I'll looking at areas of resistance. So right now I'm seeing the low 40s, low to mid 40s could be a good spot to put a sell order for NSPR. So for example, I'll just put a sell order right now at maybe 43 cents. And I'll just put that sell order for NSPR, and I'll have it set immediately. So this way, if it fills in the after hours, if it fills, extended hours and pre-market, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to technically be there to watch it fill. Now look at AMBO, actually, all of a sudden it's starting to get a little interest here. A little bit of volume action. So of course I have orders trying to be filled down there, but now we'll see if it hits the next one. I'm kind of messing around with AMBO in the meantime. I kind of like where it is. But on the daily chart, setup-wise, at the trend line, but I want to see a bigger breakout. I want to see a bigger move on AMBO. But we'll see. We're kind of waiting. And ATOS, of course. Of course. I'm looking to buy this thing. I had an order set. I put my bid in a little bit low, a little bit lower than where the current price was sitting. And, of course, now it's up like 3 cents off my bid. So maybe I'm not going to get filled on those shares. I'll see. I'll watch. The market's open regular hours today, so full day, that's still going on. It's not a half day for those who don't know. ELYS doesn't seem to be. ELYS. Market's down barely today. I don't think it's down much. ELYS is trying to reverse now off of this kind of period. I think it's decent. I think it's a good play, but I'm not going to play it up this high. I just don't play stocks up this high. It doesn't mean that I don't think it can keep going. It can keep going. I just personally, just based on my how I trade, it's just not for me. Generally, what I do for if I was to trade pre-market, it's absolutely pouring outside now. It's like thunder and lightning before too. I don't know if you guys heard that. But what I'll do is pre-market hours, 7 a.m. Eastern is like the prime time. Most brokers open up at 7 a.m. Eastern. More volume comes in. That's when companies like to drop their press releases. So I'm up by then. So I'm Central Time, so I get up at like 5:30. But so 6 a.m. Central Time is 7 a.m. Eastern, right? So that's when at least I'm aware of what's going on. Do I immediately have to sit in front of a screen and take a trade? No, but because I swing trade. So if my swing trade gets hit with a press release, I want to be watching it. I want to be there for the ride. It's fun. But if not, I don't. I'm not. If you're a day trader, 7 a.m. Could be a good time. Although volume picks up generally as the day moves on. So 8 a.m., 9 a.m. and then 9:30 a.m. Eastern is when the volume really picks up. So if you're looking for day trades, ideally you want to probably be looking at waiting for more volume, because if volume's there, then the price can go. ATOS is probably getting pumped right now. I think I don't know. I want to see. ATOS, I unfortunately didn't get my ad, which stinks, but I still have 1,000 shares. I'll take it for now. I wish I had more. I want to get more of that. But that said, what we can do is we can actually go and see. So what I'll do on Twitter a lot of times is I'll go to, I'll type in the search, and I'll see if anyone's talking about ATOS lately. So here's how you can kind of go about it and just see if, is it getting pumped? So how do you know? How do you know it's getting pumped? Well, either there's chat rooms, there's free chat rooms. We see a bunch of people talking about it. I don't know how many followers they have. And so if you go in to check somebody's followers, this guy, for example, if someone has like 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers and they start tweeting ATOS, okay, maybe this could be moving the price. I don't see that, so it doesn't look like that's happening. It could just be getting picked up in a chat room, or who knows, or it's just getting natural price action. But it's up a decent amount, little bit here. Like that's a spike. That's like a legit spike. Now what's happening with ATOS is that it's getting picked up on scanners. It's getting more attention, and when that happens, you'll start seeing more volume flood in. So we can go and zoom in here. What are we seeing? Here comes the volume. Volume's coming in, price is popping, so I'm not surprised. So we're seeing now 200,000 volume. This could get I have a sell order set at 97 because it was a prior resistance point, but I want to see a bigger breakout on ATOS. I really do. I want to see over 1. I want to see like 120 plus. But 97 a couple days back hit. I got taken out at 97, and then I reloaded those shares and I bought them back, and now I'm going to do the same thing again if it hits 97 today. I don't, So that's that. ACY suspended again. Did it get halted? Maybe it must have gotten halted down. It probably got halted down. Yeah. When you got big runners like that, they're very volatile. Yeah, that's what happens a lot of times. PLTR looks like a great dip buy. Let's see. 23. Let's see where it may go. I want to see. It could be a good dip buy. I want to see maybe even if it comes down a little bit further, but you could start averaging a position here, I think. I want to maybe see like around 23, 21. Do I dare say down to those levels could be a spot? I don't know. Could be. That's where I like. That's where I may be looking at. NEO is looking really good. I want to see it holding above 49 today. It's looking solid. If it closes above 50, that's even better. So I love NEO right now. I sold some. I sold 20% of my position, but now I'm letting the rest just ride up because I just want to lock in some profits here, and then we'll see. So that's my plan for NEO. NVIV is one that I've been watching. I've been in, sold some shares. It's coming back down. This is one down 10%. This could be a decent dip play. I like NVIV. I sold some. I'll buy them back. I will literally go and buy all the shares that I sold overnight or yesterday because it hit 95 cents in the after hours. So I sold some at 93. I'll buy all those shares back if this thing comes down sub 70 cents. I will buy them back because my average is at 66. So I'm fine. This is not going to be a losing trade. So I'm going to, buy those shares right back. Simple. BNGO. How is she doing these days? It's holding up around that 75. So yeah, okay. Let's see. NNOX. Pull up NNOX. What do we got? So it looks like it's higher lows being put in. I don't know enough about the company to be honest with you to say, hey, I love it. But here's your trend line right now. So it's at the trend line. Could be a good buy. If it does put in a higher low over 41.75. So as long as it stays above 41.75, it's still putting, even if it cracks the trend line, it's still putting in higher lows. It's still uptrending, which I think is still good. So I think it's okay. Looks decent. Thoughts on NEO 2021? I like NEO. I like it a lot. I think NEO is going to be a $100 stock in 2021, personally. So I have a short-term trade on it right now, but I also have shares for the long term that I'm not intending to sell. So I'm buying those shares, and I have no intention to sell them anytime soon. Hoffy, time to cut losses? No, I'm actually waiting to buy more, honestly. This is going to be a play at, where is it? My average is at 135, sitting right here. I don't care. It's fine. It's quiet. I'm not in big, so I'll be buying more, letting it come down. Don't want to see it go below 109. That's my place. But Hoffy, with press release, this thing is going to spike. I like it. I think it could be a very, and the thing is with these types of plays, they get super quiet. Let them get quiet. Let's pull up FinViz Hoffy and see HOFV and see what happens. This is a good recovery play that I like a lot. 14 million float. Okay. Insiders ownership. Okay. Here's what I like. Look in November. Look at all these insiders bought at 139. I like that. CEO, directors, secretary, counsel, blah, 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 VPs, human resources, they all bought shares. So $100,000, $150,000, $800,000. Or at least, I'm saying shares. I'm sorry. Shares. I like it. So they're buying shares. That's a good sign. You like to see that in a company. So I like that. I like that stuff. And with that said, I don't see a reason. They did an offering. I don't see a reason to sell it right now. I don't. I really don't. Good options. The options that I am eyeing up is Johnson & Johnson. So let's pull them up. I know it might be a little bit small, but Johnson & Johnson, I don't like these. I want to look out to like January 29th. So maybe like the one. These could be decent. So if Johnson & Johnson breaks out over 157, that's all-time highs. Those are the only options I personally, as of right now, kind of like the most. So you can go out of the money, play something a little bit further out of the money. You go to 165s, 160s maybe. You're going to pay a premium. But if Johnson & Johnson goes and breaks out over 157, I can see 160 plus very quickly on J&J. I can see it happen very, very quickly. So that's kind of my anticipation. So we'll see what happens. They have the vaccine coming out, single dose. I think that's actually pretty big. So that's why I like it. But I have some lottery options in a different account that I'm just kind of riding out and holding for now. So that's all I'm going to kind of do and just kind of sit back on the side and watch that bad boy. Scalp play alert. It could be this guy right here, NVIV. Had some consolidation right around this low 70s. It had a pretty big dip. It pushed up, no news. Let's pull up NVIV just to make sure. Make sure we don't have any news. I don't want to let's make sure we got nothing going on here. I like it. I think it could be a play that you play again. I've actually played it now like 3 times, honestly, in the past couple of weeks because I played it. Let's go back and look. I played it for like this spike. I think I actually missed the sell here. I had an order set for like 89 cents and hit 88. So I missed like prime sell, but I played it there. I played it for this. I sold some there. I reloaded back here, played it again, sold some at 93. And now, you know, we're potentially coming back down to a reload zone. Let it come down and I'll reload it and I'll do it again. Any press release PR coming in 2021, this thing gets sent and the gap gets filled back up towards like 125. So that's what I'm looking for. Yes, that's that. What else? ATOS is coming down, but it's getting some. So what this could be is someone could be loading into ATOS. So, you know, could be catching someone loading up. Maybe we catching someone on the load. Yeah, maybe. Okay, look, someone. Oh, here we go. So we can look at level 2 and see. Okay, someone. People are buying 4,000 shares. Just nothing crazy. 18,000 shares went through. That's nothing insane, 10,000 shares, but it's decent. So someone, you know, could be loading up size here in ATOS, 15,000 and 26,000. So we're seeing some larger orders relative. So we're not, what you can tell by loading is, and it's relative. You don't know, right? You don't know what's going on. But if you're looking at a stock, you're watching a stock, and you're seeing all of a sudden, like you're watching it and you're looking at the time in sales, which is going to show you guys the orders that are coming through, which I love to look at. So you're seeing 100 shares, you're seeing a couple hundred shares, 1,000 shares here and there, 4,000, okay, whatever. All of a sudden you start seeing, you know, some 5-figure size orders come through. 1 or 2, okay. You start seeing more than 1 or 2 5-figure share size orders coming through. It starts to catch my eye, and that's actually what we're seeing right now. We're seeing some decent loading, it looks like, on ATOS. 7,000. Okay, so that's a good thing. I like to see that, especially when I have a nice average of 85 cents. So we're looking good. I wanted to get more earlier, but I missed that opportunity. So we'll see. If it does come down to like sub 90, I might just play it and just get into sub 90, just grab a couple more shares. I love ATOS dips more. I love it. Here it goes. It broke out a new high of the day. Because they have a lot of catalysts. They have multiple catalysts coming up into 2021 that I think are really good. Is BABA a buy? Let's take a look at BABA. So it recovered a little bit, right? So it bounced down, recovered. Now it's in this kind of range. So I don't know. It could be a good dip buy if you like it. They still have what's going on. I don't know exactly if there's any updates on what's going on. Let's take a peek. What is going on with BABA? So they had, where is this? They had the whole, what is the news? The news was that the potential anti-monopoly laws, that they don't comply, blah, blah, blah. So they're getting investigated. So that was the kind of the scary news behind it, but we'll see if that happens. I think it could be a good dip buy for a longer term hold, a longer term investment. Meanwhile, we got to look at ATOS again, because here it goes. It's pushing up 94. This is probably going to, it's unfortunate because I wanted more. But again, at this point, I'm going to probably sell. I have a 300 share sell at that point. So, okay, it hits that point. If it keeps going, cool. If it doesn't come back, if it pulls back, okay, there's still opportunities. I still like this stock. Under 90, I think, is a good spot. I still think under $1 is ultimately good. If you're willing to if you're buying it over 90, just understand it could dip down to, sub 80, sub 90 again, and be willing to take that dip, or understand to see that dip, see the red. If you can see that, it's fine. So if it does dip, if it does hit like 97 or hits up to $1 today, I could see $1, but that's one we got to definitely watch. I think it's good. Is Gevo a pumper legit? I don't know enough about Gevo. I think it's decent. It has some decency. It has some legitimacy to it. If it gets back over this 515, it could go. I think I played Gevo. It kind of screwed me. If I ultimately think about what I had with Gevo back when I sold it up in here, if I had just held Gevo, I would be up so much on that position. Again, it is what it is. You're going to be in a lot of those when you're playing these things. But I got crushed on the offering back in here, and then I ended up turning that green with this little pop right here back in July, 4th of July time period. I don't know enough about it though to tell you that it's legit, so I'm not invested in it. But it's been hot lately for sure. I'll tell you that. Over 515, it could go again. So I'm gonna make a quick bathroom run really quick, and then I'll be right back, and we'll see if ATOS will get up to $1 today. If we get a $1 break on ATOS going into New Year's, that would be fun. This could be a fun afternoon. We'll see. TTCF I like as a long-term play. I have TTCF long-term. I actually have like a sub $15 average. Been drinking too much water. I'll be right back. All right. Let's see if we can find if it's being pumped anywhere. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I think we actually have someone talking about ATOS finally. Okay, ATS is probably, let's see. ATOS, let's look at the latest. Let's see who's on. That's who's on this. Oh, so look, this is one of those guys. Antonio Costa, right? 83,000 followers. So he's in. He tweets that. That's gonna get volume. That's gonna bring volume. That's gonna bring in our volume, and we are now seeing it. And here we go. ATOS is pushing up. So that's why the volume is popping. 95 now. Can we get over 95? 95 has some sellers, so we're watching that. This is the fun part about swing trading, is that like a lot of times it's just dead. It's nothing's happening, and then it's like all of a sudden, boom, it goes. Like something just starts going, and it's like, oh crap. So now let's see 95. Let's see if it gets cracked down. Let's see 95 get broken. Yeah, 95 is probably going to go right here. It's getting some decent orders. 15,000 shares went through. Yeah, 95 is just about broken here. Let's see. Yep, 95.01 now I'm seeing. 95 got cracked. So there's some big buys coming in actually right now. Let's see. Let's see if we can get our little dollar break. Dollar break would be fun. The dollar break would be big. Those guys, those who are on, if you guys wouldn't mind jumping down, making sure you are hitting the thumbs up button. That's all I ask. I really appreciate those for those of you who do so. That's the only fee to join us here on the lives, is just hit the like button and then you're good. Let's get over 100 likes. Get over 100 likes and we'll be good to go. And then maybe this will be a nice end of the day, end of the week runner here. ATOS. Let's push it up. Someone come in and just market buy a million shares and we'll be good. Let's see. Let's see. I would love to see this thing hit my sells into the end of the day. FRSX, I think there's some people who like FRSX long term too, more than just a short term trade. We can look at that in a second. Happy New Year. That I literally keep forgetting. It's like New Year's Eve. It's a gross day here in Austin, Texas. It's absolutely gross out. Huge sell orders. Let's see if this can get eaten through. I want to see this thing potentially making a run. It's gonna have a tough time to hit. It's gonna have a tough time over 1. I think if it get over 1, that would be insane. But it's probably going to struggle up there. So that's the thing. Tesla dropped off. I wonder if Neo's coming back a little bit. So Neo's falling with it a little bit. Let's see. What else is going on? Anything else going on? I can't really tell. Most of my stuff is down today, but like barely. NVIV is down 11%, but it was up huge yesterday, so I don't really care. So we're 1 cent away from the first point. It's going to the moon. Let's see. Tesla ATIF. We can look at that in a sec. ATS now up 9%. Okay, now it's pushing. Let's push. Let's see. Let's see this thing push up. Tesla dropped off to 712. Now I'm looking at the 5 minute too. I'm not even looking at the 1 minute. I could probably put the 1 minute just so you can see the 1 minute chart. It's still looking really good. 96.7 or 9. There's 97. Can we get the fill? Can we get the fill? Can we get the fill? I've been filled. I have been filled. So now what did I do? I just took off 30% of the size. There you go. So my 97 hits. And why 97? Why 97? Now could it go further? Yes, but 97 back here a couple days ago was what we hit, and it got rejected at that point. Also, I like selling on the 7s and 9s and the 7s and 3s and not the whole number. So like the area that I'm watching is $1 support. That's that. That's that. Appreciate you guys for joining in, hitting the thumbs up button. That's awesome. 118 likes. It's awesome. We are now, if we crack 97 here, that's probably going to get us to 1. We crack 105, and then we can go from there. It's like every 5 cents or so. It seems like is the next level, at least on this guy. This is the old fun about swing trading, and this could be one of those two that we'll have to see how this goes today. It is midday, so this is not the ideal time. Absolutely not the ideal time, to be seeing a stock running up, because you have less volume. It's a Thursday, but it's technically a Friday in terms of the market because it's closed tomorrow. It's a holiday coming up. It's midday, lunch hours is generally when you see lower volume, so this is a tough time to go. If it's going to go, maybe these could be like one of those like continuation runs into the after hours. You see it kind of just grinding up. I'm going to get rid of this buy. Unfortunately, I missed out on those shares I could have had, but I'm going to get rid of that because that's not going to happen today, unless we get like an offering, which they've done too. I don't think that's going to happen either. Let's see. How much time it take? It's the thing that I think about when it comes to small account. I'll tell you this right now. So the account that I'm in, I'll have a video on Saturday. What are we at? We're at 24.5. I started with less than $300 15 months ago. So I mean, I have added to the account. I have also now recently been getting free stocks. So when you guys sign up to Webull, you get 4 free stocks. There should be a link down below as well. So now we can reject it at 97 on ATOS. When you sign up to Webull, you get 4 free stocks. I get a free stock. So I let that compound in my account. So now it's scrolling through a couple different ways. And on top of that, not recently, that's how I use as deposits. But in the past years, if I had $100 or $200, I would just, I would deposit, a few dollars. And that's kind of how I would do it. And I would help grow the account that way. So if I'm working a job, right, I know I can deposit, $100 a month. And so I would do it like that on top of, growing my gains. And it was just consistent compound growth. It was not all of a sudden I had a big day and I just said, you know what, I only have a small account. I'm going to risk my $600 or my $100 or my $300. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to go in and I'm going to play some lottery options and I'm going to turn that 600 into 6,000. And then from there, I'll start. That's the way you're going to get crushed, because you're never going to get to the start point. So for me, it's just consistent small wins. It's not about the home run. It's not about hitting the big winner. It's consistency and small wins. That's been the biggest thing for me. In terms of time though, so like you see what I did, and I compound my first year, I guess. I've been trading for longer than that, but from that $300 with deposits, compounding that, I took, I had a 567% gain. So I had a very nice gain, on the account, which I could do better than that, I know, but that was a solid play, solid growth, from that point. And then from there, I've been slowly just growing. I don't care about the percentage gains anymore, really. I'm just consistently trying to grow the account. And that once you get over a certain point, now you're talking about a 2% gain in the account or a 10% gain in the account is big. It's a decent amount of money. I don't take from the account right now, but I have some student loans and I'm looking to try to pay off with it. So that's the ideal goal, is to grow the account and then be able to pay off those loans with that. So that's how I'm doing it. As much as I hate I have to even say that I have student loans because it's horrible. You got Google that's awesome. $1,800 of a free stock. That's nice. That's awesome. They're also doing, I think, a promotion now where if you like, when you're on the app, like if you like do a couple of things, like you have to like share it or post on like social media or something, like you do these 4 tasks, you get into a drawing, I think, for something, for some other stocks, which is, could be cool for those who may be interested. But yep, that's what we got. That's what we got going on. So ATOS, and that's why, you scale out of trades, and that's why you look to prior areas of support and resistance, because not to, like look, ATOS right here, prior high was 97. So a prior high from the 23rd. We hit 97. Pre-market hours, we hit 116. That's why, that's why that area was key in my eyes. And so that's where we had resistance. And now let it come back. I don't care. Let it come back. Maybe this could be a VWAP dip ad. So around this, low 90s could be a dip ad. That's awesome. But now what I'll do is that, okay, I'm scaling out. So I took off those shares. Ideally, I would have loved to have gotten more shares, sub 80, 85 or 87 cents this morning when I was trying to get in, but it kind of started running without it. Now this big was probably just a big seller, potentially a market seller or something like that. Now we'll see what happens at the end of the day. This has gotten attention. It's gotten enough attention, enough volume. People now know, traders are now looking at this stock and saying, hey, there's a gap. We got a nice gap here. If we can get going, this is a good gap to fill. This could be a good, potential power hour runner, which is the last hour of the day, and into the after hour session. This could be a little runner. So it's something I'll be watching. We'll see. 200% of the week with Intel calls. Now I'm going to play the long game so I don't lose it all. Yep, that's the thing. That's good that you're realizing that too, because now, I don't, the thing is too, like, I don't know. People can do that consistently and have killer weeks and do 1,000% years and everything like that. That's awesome. But ultimately, right? Ultimately, that said, at the end of the day, like, I think everyone desires a consistency. They'd rather be able to consistently do. I'd rather consistently be able. That's why I don't play many options anymore, because I just was realizing that I could pick the winner in terms of the setup, the chart setup, and the catalyst, whatever, more often than not. But I couldn't pick the option more often than not, the profitable option. I couldn't pick it. I struggled with picking the option, the profitable option trade, because you could technically like buy a contract of a stock that moves in the direction that you're anticipating it to move, only for the contract to expire worthless, even if the stock went the right way. So, I don't know. Student loans is a part of life. Yes, it is, I guess. I tell, at least I have younger siblings, I tell them to, I personally, back when I went, when I had to make the decision, I was also too young to make the decision, to be honest. But I tell at least my siblings now to be a little more, or I advise them to be a little more smart with that decision, because I didn't need to go into as much debt as I did, ideally. Let's see. ATOS is now, this was a VWAP dip. So here's like, here's, if you get a pop like this, so you're up, the stock's up 10%, right? It hits 97, right? And then it comes crashing down. This VWAP level right here, this white line that I have in is my VWAP line. That could be a good spot if you're looking for a dip or even a day trade. Now the question is going to be, okay, we had the VWAP dip. We're cooling off. It's not as much of a straight up run. Now do we push up, and do we now, the second time the charm, break 97? Breaking 97 could be big, I think, because we had that area of resistance in the past. So there's not, at least I'm not seeing on this level 2, there's not that many sellers there, at least from what I'm seeing, but it's still going to be a pretty, strong area. How's FSR? FSR is just kind of boring, man. I feel bad. I'm going to kind of, I'm still holding some FSR. I want to see it make a bigger move at some point, and it may. I like where it's kind of at, but it's like, it's just kind of boring. So it's sitting at the trend line there for me. So maybe it comes back. It doesn't. What I'm looking to do is take off like a small portion, or like 30% of my FSR position, and put that into like CGC come like in the coming weeks. So I'm waiting for FSR to make a little pop. On a green day, I'll sell some. I'm up from a nice average, so I'm not really too worried about it. But, and that's that. You're a good big brother. Hey, that's because at the end of the day too is that I feel like think a little bit differently than like how like how the average, well, I definitely thought the same way back when I was in high school when I was their age, but like, I wasn't thinking about that stuff. And so now that I've, gotten some experience and I've seen things and I'm like, I have a different mindset towards like, money and debt and things like that. Some debt's good debt, but student loan debt, to be honest, is not, not great debt to be in unless it depends on what you're going for, right? If you're going to be a doctor or something, I think that's a different story. But I don't know. That's my take. We'll see. I just don't want them to make the same decision. And then let's say they get into the, the point in like their life where they're not necessarily thinking, but like the average person, if the average person went into the amount of debt that I went into, they would be, especially nowadays, getting crushed. Well, now student loans, federal loans, I guess are postponed, but you're getting, it's not easy to get out of that with the current climate that a lot of people are in, with what's going on pandemic wise and everything. NXTD is trading sideways, so it's like algo trading right now. Let's see. With Bitcoin, staying up, I guess could be decent, but it's kind of in this range from like 125 up towards like the top end here around $2. I don't personally like it. I want to see it come down unless Bitcoin is super strong. Depends. From the UK, it depends on it depends on the obviously what you're saying. So I have different interest rates I have different types of loans, but you can get interest rates. I have one that's like 4 or 5%. I believe, and think there's some loans that you can, some people have like 7%, 8%. That's not good. 4 or 5% is not terrible, to be honest with you. I think that's pretty good actually. So I think I have a decent rate on some of them, but, so that's that. But it depends. If you're going in school nowadays, $200,000, like, realistically, $50,000 a year, is like what you're probably going for most, most bigger name schools these days. That's what you're paying. Like, you got to pay $200,000. I've gotten some scholarships and stuff in the past too, and I've had, but at the same time, like that's ridiculous. You can get that. I would recommend going to school somewhere cheaper if you can get it. So that's my recommendation. If I was to do it all over again, I don't like going back and thinking about that stuff because there's a lot of things and decisions that happened and things that I went through at school that put me in the position I am today to think about money differently than I did, which all led to kind of what I'm doing now, I guess. But I definitely would have if I had to go, if I was in high school now, at knowing what I know now, I wouldn't go to college. Actually, I would take a year off and just see. I would take a gap year, as they say. Would do my own thing and see what happens at the end of the year and reassess. That's what I would do. But that's just me. Everyone's different. BNGO is holding up, actually. It's holding up pretty well. So I can't complain. It's still holding the trend line. Look at this on the 5-minute chart. Here's our trend line. BNGO, it's still looking good. I think it's all good for where it's at right now. Let's see. Anything else going on here? NEO's at 49. Market's actually coming down a tiny bit. At least NASDAQ pulled down a little bit. So it kind of pulled some things with it a little bit to a degree, but not terrible. Let's see. Anything else going on? Anything else? Have you seen ZOM? I don't think I will take ZOM. I don't think I personally like it. Let's see. It's popping up, so it's getting attention. Let's say look at the daily chart. Okay, because it is. ZOM over this 27 gets interesting. That's a decent resistance point. ZOM over 27, 28. Well, I would say if ZOM gets over 27, it's going to have resistance up until 30. But if it can get over those levels, it has some room to make a move. Although it's been making some big moves as it is. So, I don't know. Not a huge fan of Naked, to be honest. I would like Naked down towards like NAKD, down towards like 15 cents. Data shows not developed enough to make the decision at the age bracket they're in. It should be illegal. Yet, I'm telling you, that's the truth. And I didn't think it. I was like, yeah, sure. I know what I want to do. at the time when I was in high school. But realistically, looking back, I should not have been able to make that decision to go into debt. No way. Stupid. It was stupid. Wouldn't do it again if I had the chance. Wouldn't take back the experiences and stuff from college and everything, but, I wouldn't go into the debt that I went into. But we're going to get out of it. We're going to be good. I'm positioning myself and it's okay. So we're going to be fine. Let's see. AMCI, a little dip today, little dippity dip. AMCI, I'm holding my shares. I will buy more. I will double my position. Honestly, I will double it if it comes down anything close to 12 again. So that's that. Crypto to buy today. I personally think I would wait on some crypto. Let's see. What we got? BTC, USD. 28.5 is Bitcoin. I would wait. I'm bullish on Bitcoin long term, right? But that's also not to say that I don't think it's going to pull back at some point here. So I don't know. I would let Bitcoin kind of just chill. I wouldn't be necessarily buying it up here unless you've been buying it all along. If you've been buying it all along, sure. If you're looking to get a better price, it's just, Bitcoin is one of those things where I think maybe 5% of your portfolio should be Bitcoin. I think at least just to have some diversification there, which is what I have. That's what I do. I have my long term and just bought it. I honestly bought in late. I had been messing around, but I bought in late. I think I bought somewhere in here, but it's up beautifully since I got in. But I'm just gonna hold the Bitcoin that I have. That's my take on it. My degree is actually in meteorology. Well, it's more than just that, but I have a minor in energy business finance as well. That's technically the qualification, but the degree is is meteorology. I went through a whole meteorology program. So weather, if you guys don't know what that is, there's a lot more than just the guy on TV, is what I'll say, but there's also a lot more to it than you think because there's a lot of math, physics, and ridiculous stuff that you have to do. That it was horrible. I will tell you right now, horrible. The classes that I went through, I was just not fun at all. They were so it was the first year was fine, the last year was fine, but I also got to the point last year where we also I kind of thinned out my schedule in terms of what I had to take. So the middle 2 years, sophomore and junior year, were just absolutely just grinds. Absolute grinds. The math and the physics was just horrible. It was just I couldn't tell you how many hours a week I was doing homework. It was just ridiculous. I hated it. I hated it every day for a good period. Litecoin, I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't know. I am not, honestly the crypto guy, to be honest with you. But all my take on crypto is just buy and hold is my take. Fubo, I actually like Fubo in the under 20. Let's take a look at the daily chart that I have. Here's my buy range. This is a decent buy range to take a shot at it. I like it. If it comes down further, cool, maybe. But if I would take a shot here in this point, in this sub 30 range. I think it's a decent attempt, in my opinion, at least. XSPA read an article that they said they can't count their test income because they don't have a medical license. XSPA is honestly, I don't know. The reality of XSPA is that they're like a spa. They were like an airport spa company that turned airport testing, which is great because they pivoted, but they essentially had no revenue because the airport spas had to shut down, right? They essentially have no revenue, no money coming in. And so they pivoted to these testing centers, which are cool, but I don't think it's required if it was mandated to be tested before you got on a plane, maybe. I don't think that's the case. Going to certain places, yes, but I don't think that's the case. And at the same time, that's also going to go away eventually, right? Like eventually that's not going to be, you're not going to have to worry about getting tested before you get on a plane all the time. I don't know. Like I'm not very bullish on XSPA. Personally though, let's see. The way you play it is for the news pops. So you play it for the news pops, you play it for the news spikes. And so XSPA right now has support down around 1-ish. So I wouldn't want to see it dropping below 1. So around $1, down under here could be a decent spot. That's that. Let's see. The market's down today. I'm probably gonna, let's see. I haven't eaten anything actually today. I gotta eat something, so I'm probably gonna wrap things up here in a second. If you guys wouldn't mind, last chance to hit the thumbs up button. I appreciate you guys for joining in. We watched a little. I timed the top on ATOS and I got filled. So you get to watch the magic happen in action. I still have some shares. I'll be riding those shares for more or looking for dip buys if it comes back below 90 cents. That's what I'll be doing. That's that. That's kind of how I like to swing trade. So what we did with the ATOS swing trade, if we go back here, we saw people on Twitter. We would go back and it got attention. It got attention on Twitter. People started talking about it. Some guys with some bigger followings throw out some charts, gets attention, gets volume, and it pops up. And so what do? We sell into that spike and we make our money and we don't have to worry about here because somebody bought my shares at 97 cents. Now, that's reality is that person is, in a much higher risk situation than I am with an 85-cent average. So that's kind of how I swing trade. That's how I do it. You get to see kind of the live action of me buying some stuff. Some of the things I bought today in anticipation of next week, and SPR actually recovering a little bit. Not that much, but I bought a starter position there. Also bought a starter position in SNDL. I'll have a video out on that stuff tomorrow, kind of my thoughts on SNDL weed plays into tomorrow. But that was that. Outside of that, maybe just averaging into some other positions. Averaging out, took a little bit off NEO up here at 50, took a little bit off ATOS. We'll look for, dips on ATOS. We'll look for NVIV as well. If NVIV comes down under 70 cents, I'll rebuy the shares that I sold yesterday. Do the same thing, kind of, range trading these stocks until we get the bigger breakout, which is kind of what I'm looking for. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Happy New Year to everybody. Honestly, it was an awesome year. And we'll be back at it here in 2021, ready to kill it. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. You can get 4 free stocks with Webull. Link in the description box down below. That should be the platform that I'm using in all my videos. I'm using every single day that I'm using right here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button on the way out, and I will see you guys in a future video. Peace.